Hello, welcome back to another video of PDBL Season 3 analysis. I am your host, and listen, I'm not, I don't consider myself a clickbait guy. I'm not here to farm views or whatever, so the first thing I should address is the title of this video, How to Survive a Nightmare Matchup. It makes it seem like I'm going to give you the answer to that question, and I wouldn't want to if you clicked on this video looking for that answer, I don't want to waste your time. So let's start with that. Here is SRN's special, secret, super trick to surviving a nightmare matchup in Draft League. Are you ready? Are you paying attention? Okay, here we go. There is no secret. There is no trick. If you want to win a bad matchup, you have to play better, prep better, or get luckier. And luck aside, the only solution is good old-fashioned diligence. So I hope my viewers aren't so young that they've never seen Kung Fu Panda. And you know the lesson there? Po learned there is no secret ingredient in the ramen soup, right? No secret scroll. Great movie. The lesson here is the same. So that's it. I answered the question in the title in record time, and if that's all you came here for, you don't have to stay. Don't worry about how long the video is. I won't feel bad if you leave now. Just have a good rest of your day. Okay. Now that the casuals are gone, let's get down to fucking business. My opponent this week is ZachHoekDPT. Great player, and as you can tell, a great drafter as well. Look at this team. First thing you'll notice about his team is that it's a Sun team. See that? Ninetales right there. And that gives us an interesting dynamic this week. Many of you are not old enough to be playing Black and White OU, but uh, you'll see where this is going. I'm not going to get into a full breakdown of my team. I've done that before, but just to summarize an important bit. My team is a rain team. See that Polytoad right there? It's a weather team, and that means it relies on bringing an often subpar weather setter every week. And in exchange, the other 5 Pokemon get some kind of benefit, making them cost effective. All of this only works, however, if my weather stays up. And the same is true for my opponent. And so this won't be a new term to everyone who's all the old heads that have played Black and White OU, but this matchup is going to feature a weather war, and whoever wins that weather war will likely win the battle. Because my Pokemon are stronger under rain and weaker under sun, and Zach's Pokemon are stronger under sun and weaker under rain, then whoever's weather stays up for good is going to have a massive advantage. So immediately, when you find yourself in a matchup like this, one of your primary goals should be winning the weather war. And there are a few aspects about winning a weather war that are not really seen in normal weatherless play, where you don't have to. Yeah, let's just go over them. One super important aspect of weather wars is that whoever sets up the weather last will keep that weather up. Drizzle and Drought are abilities that activate in speed order, and because my Politoed is slower than Ninetales, Ninetales will activate Drought first, and then my Drizzle will overwrite Drought because it activates second. These abilities will constantly overwrite each other in the order that they activate. So again, really important that yours happens second so that it actually stays up. And this is important because it should immediately rule out any kind of speed investment or Scarf Politoed set I may be interested in, because I really need to make sure that my Politoed is slower than 184 speed, which is the minimum speed that Ninetales can hit without any help from items. And this is all assuming a 1v1 scenario. So what about switching in? If the rain is up and I click a water move, Ninetales can switch in, immediately set the sun, and weaken the water move I just used. It'll still take some damage, because it is a super effective stab water move, hitting a fire type, but not a ton. And in order for me to set the rain, I might be switching Politoed out and then back in again to activate Drizzle and take away the sun in that position. And the same is true for my opponent. So being able to do safe switches with pivots and all of that, just the positioning is super, super important here, even more than usual. So you might be asking at this point, SRN, hey, why is this a nightmare matchup? Or even a bad matchup? Water beats fire, so shouldn't rain beat sun? Unfortunately, it's not that simple, and for a few reasons. One major reason is, like I mentioned, positioning. Let's say that I switch my Polytoad into Ninetales to reset the rain. I resist Ninetales' fire moves, rain makes him even weaker, and it could be an energy ball, but otherwise we're pretty much chilling, right? Well, no. What's much worse than the grass type coverage energy ball that Ninetales has for me is this other move Ninetales has called Baton Pass. And again, to the old heads, this isn't the baton pass of yore. We never healed from the scars inflicted by Dennis, but no, in this league, you cannot pass stat boosts or subs with baton pass. It's just a pivoting move. But that's all it needs to be here. Pivoting is everything in a weather war. So when I switch Politoed into Ninetales, Ninetales can baton pass, swap into something else immediately, like Lantern or Mandibuzz or Screamtail, and then that Pokemon can Volt Switch, U-turn, or baton pass again to bring Ninetales back in safely and reset the sun. On the other hand, Politoed has no pivoting move, and I simply have less slow pivots at my disposal than Zach does. And because, like, Decidueye is certainly not showing up against a Sun team with a Mandibuzz, and all I really have is Incineroar. Jirachi and Kilowattrel have U-turn and Volt Switch, but those are kind of slow. Sorry, those are kind of fast Pokemon, not slow pivots. And all this to say that Zach's tools for positioning are much, much better than mine, and this will allow him to keep the sun up much more efficiently than I can keep the rain up. Because, again, well, think about it. While Ninetales is clicking Baton Pass, I have to manually switch out Politoed, and whatever is switching in and out manually has to take the risk. And I also don't have the advantage of momentum of knowing what my opponent switched in and then doing my switch accordingly. Uh, Another reason the matchup is tough. Let's look at how well our weather abusers perform outside of their preferred weather. Let's say I got our Cowdon in the rain and want to have a grand old time clicking my busted ass Electro Shot. Well, guess what? Ninetales can come in, set up Drought to interrupt my Electro Shot and immediately forced me to waste a turn charging. Then they could hard swap into Gouging Fire or Rhyperior to blunt my Electro Shot and then position their attackers in an advantageous spot with the sun up. So if I don't want to click Electro Shot, well, they still have Screamtail to be immune to my Dragon Stab or Body Press, and Gouging Fire and Ninetales resist my Steel Stab. So our Caledon in the sun, not looking great. What about Quaquaval? Ninetales doesn't want to be switching into an Aqua Step even if the sun is up. But if the sun is already up, then Screamtail is a 4 times resist to fighting and will take nothing from an Aqua Step under the sun. Not to mention Venusaur resists both stabs. It has Chlorophyll to outspeed me under the sun even if I clicked Aqua Step once, and it'll easily kill me with the grass move. I also have to contend with something like Foul Play Mandibuzz that could tank my Aqua Step under the sun. It's probably bulky enough to even tank a +2 close combat, and if I don't kill, then the attack boost from SD combined with the defense drop from close combat will probably let Foul Play like almost kill me, even resist it. In fact, we could run that damage calc right now just to make sure I'm not spreading misinformation. Oop, that's a little bit spoiler of the battle, huh? Let me see here. Quaquaval Swords Dance +2 Mandibu with the foul play. How much speed investment did I actually get? 116. That's HP. Yeah, okay. So yeah, if I had 116 and 224, just to give you a little spoiler alert on how the team ends up, but that's okay. We'll get to that in good time. Oh yeah, foul play already does 55. And if I'm at a defense drop, yeah, that's a clean like any amount of chip and I'm dead to foul play, right? So not great. Not great. It's not looking great. Yeah. So what are my other weather abusers, huh? Toxicroak, LOL. This thing is a shitter to begin with, but dry skin means that I actually take chip damage from the sun every turn. I think it's like 1/8. Actually, let's double check that too. Oh, I need to reconnect. How much damage does dry skin actually deal? I'm pretty sure it's 1/8, but you know, this is the only thing I do is talk. I might as well say the right thing, huh? Oh, let me have to log in. Sheesh. Come on, there we go. DT dry skin. Oh yeah, you get your extra weak to fire as well, 1.25x, and then yes, 1/8 by sun. Yeah, okay. The same amount you heal with the rain, 1/8. You get chipped by sun every turn, 1/8. So that's not great. Jirachi is mostly unaffected, but its fire weakness gets amplified instead of removed. Kilowattrel really suffers. Its hurricanes and thunders go down to 50% accuracy instead of unavoidable in the rain. And a Golduck outside of the rain is, well, it's a Golduck. So it's not looking great for me. Well, how about Zach? Okay, if Venusaur happens to get a growth under the sun and then I like get up the rain later, I'm still looking at a boosted Venusaur with access to Terra that could foil my revenge killing attempts. The grass poison typing is not too bad into me, so even under the rain, something like Giga Drain, Earth Power, Sludge Bomb coverage is still hitting everything for at least neutral damage. So it's not like Venusaur is useless, even in the rain. I should be able to handle it with Jirachi, and I'm gonna be running Air slash Kilowattrel too. So, you know, it's not the worst thing ever. But Venusaur in the rain, not useless. In the sun, super dangerous. The worst, however, is the centerpiece of his team, Gouging Fire. Oh my god. Where do I start with this guy? I like there's some other Pokemon. I guess we'll get to that later. No, we really got to talk about Gouging Fire, huh? Okay, well, this is a bit of a sidetrack, but fuck it, my channel. I do what I want. So after all of the Paradox Pokemon, think of your Fluttermane, your Iron Hands. After all of those Pokemon were initially released, the Pokemon Company later released Paradox versions of legendary Pokemon. The Entei Suicune Raikou trio received 3 new versions built for the Sun with photosynthesis, and Terrakion, Cobalion, Virizion trio received 3 new versions built for electric terrain with Quark Drive. Um, the Entei Suikuraiku trio all have dragon typing added to the fire, water, electric, and the fighting trio, they got their fighting typing removed and replaced with a psychic typing, which is completely awful, horrible dog shit. So take Iron Leaves and Iron Boulder, grass psychic, rock psychic, you throw that in the trash, their ass. Iron Crown is actually pretty good. Steel Psychic is not a horrible typing. You can keep that one. However, the Sun Trio are all amazing. Let's start with Raging Bolt. Let's go to our team builder and let's go to draft. Yeah, okay. Raging Bolt. Look at this thing's stats. 137 base special attack is absurd. 125 HP, 91 defense, 89 spadef. Crazy, crazy bulky. 75 speed is like a middling speed tier. It's not good. Raging Bolt is slow, but when you're this bulky and this strong, it like doesn't matter as much. You still have photosynthesis and you can hold booster energy. So off the rip, you're going to get a 1.3x boost to your massive special attack stat. If you want to hop in the damage calculator, we can just see like what kind of visible stat that gives us if we just auto select. Yeah, let's give it special attack. Oh, it doesn't give me the number? Oh, whatever. You're gonna have to do some. I'm a genius of mental math, so I can tell you that 410 times 1.3. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, that gives you 533 special attack off the rip, just immediately with the booster energy. That's crazy, crazy. And again, that middling speed, it's kind of a problem, but Raging Bolt has the best tool it could ask for in this move called Thunderclap. It's basically a electric type special sucker punch. Usually priority moves are balanced by the fact of being weaker. You know, think of Quick Attack, think of Aqua Jet. These are moves with 40 base power. Sucker Punch and Thunderclap are way stronger at 70 base power, but they're balanced by the drawback of the move not working unless the target clicked an attacking move. So they can be taken advantage of with non-attacking moves, and especially Encore is a big one. If they lock you into Thunderclap, they're free to do whatever they want as long as they don't attack. It's a pretty dangerous position to be in. However, you can still, there are countermeasures that you can take against that. It's not like 100% safe for your opponent to just click a non-attacking move because you don't have to Thunderclap. You can just click Thunderbolt or Dragon Pulse instead and just attack them normally. So all this to say that Thunderclap is a really good tool to mitigate its low speed, and it's absurdly powerful with Thunderclap, just ridiculous. You can set up Calm Mind, which isn't as effective as like Kingambit, Swords Dance, Sucker Punch, but because of the photosynthesis boost from booster energy that you're often getting, you can think of Calm Mind with booster energy as like a soft nasty plot, at least the first turn you're setting up, right? And if we're all good at mental math, and remember I'm a mental math master, we can all calculate what 1.5 times 1.3. It's going to be pretty close to 2. There we go. It's 1.95. So, yeah, a Calm Mind with boost energy is very similar to a nasty plot. So the concerns of like setting up, you are strong. You are absolutely completely busted powerful. Raging Bolt, Electric Dragon typing, also pretty solid typing. This is a premium Pokemon, like so solid in OU, like a staple. And in draft, it's also expensive as hell because it's really really good. That's Raikou. That's Raging Bolt. Okay, Walking Wake is in some ways better, in some ways worse. It is not nearly as bulky, but it's not frail either. 99 HP, 91 defense, 83 speed F. That is solid bulk. You will live most strong hits once, and really that's all you need. The special attack is also a bit weaker at 125. However, the speed is much better at 109. This thing has a much more balanced stat spread, but it can really take advantage of booster energy increasing its speed, which is really powerful because booster energy improves attack, defense, special attack, and speed F by only 1.3, but if it boosts speed, it's by 1.5. So having the boost to speed just gets you like a big numerical advantage. And if you want to, for example, boost speed and you have, your simple like, you just want to modify this a little bit though. Don't forget about that because photosynthesis, it's going to boost the highest stat, which means if you want to boost speed, you got to make sure 348 that's boosted. You don't want 340. You want to make sure your special attack is 1 point lower, 347, because if you just brainlessly go max, special attack is at 349, your special attack is going to be boosted, not your speed. So if you go speed booster and you go choice specs, oh my god, the bread and butter. 348 times 1.5. Again, masters of mental math. I don't have to pull out a calculator to know this. 348 times 1.5. That gives you 522. And of course, 347, it's not going to be much farther behind. So you have effectively like 520 special attack and speed off the rip with no setup if you're under the sun. These are stats that most Pokemon need like a turn to set up, with like a Quiver Dance ideally. And having it immediately is just crazy. But that's not even the best part. Much like Raging Bolt gets access to its special move Thunderclap, Walking Wake gets access to this move called Hydro Steam, which is so cool because normally water moves are weakened by half, I'm pretty sure, right? Wait, how do I not know this? How much are water moves weakened by in the sun? Pokemon, is it half? Yeah, it's half. Man, gaslighting myself. All right. So, normally Hydro Steam in the sun 80 base power, well, it's going to be cut down to 40, right? That's what most water moves are. But during sunny day, Hydro Steam is actually stronger. So on top of 520 special attack and speed with the speed booster choice spec set, your Hydro Steam is also 120 base power, 100% accuracy, no drawbacks. It's This Pokemon is crazy under Sun, because historically, Sun usually has the fire type, you know. Obviously, the fire type has their moves boosted by 50% in the Sun. And they also usually fit in a grass type. Grass types have chlorophyll. You know, they're going to benefit from the sun that way. They have access to solar beam, solar blade, growth. So you can usually see a grass type on a sun team. But they struggle to fit in a water type because water moves are weaker under sun, so what's the incentive, right? You struggle to finish that fire, water, grass core. That's usually like, good to cover each other's weaknesses. It's a pretty coveted core. But Walking Wake fits in as a water type on sun teams thanks to its move Hydro Steam. And you can put together a fire, water, grass core on your sun team. It's going to be beautiful. They're all going to be thriving under the sun, and you're just going to build a balanced, threatening sun team. Uh, Walking Wake is great. This is a fantastic Pokemon. It can easily run away with the game with no setup, just nothing needed. Just insane speed, insane power off the rip. It gets the job done. Walking Wake, one of my favorites. Gouging Fire. We finally get to Gouging Fire. If you can believe it, Gouging Fire is actually way better. Way better than Raging Bolt and Walking Wake. Gouging Fire is the only one of these three Pokemon that was banned from OU. And the other two are really good in OU too. Gouging Fire is the only one that got banned. Why is that? Well, you're looking at these stats and you're thinking, this seems kind of poorly optimized ish. Like, it's super, super bulky. 105 HP, 121 defense. That is crazy physical bulk. 93 SPDF is not bad either. You dumped special attack at 65. Really smart min-maxing. But the speed is only 91, which isn't that great. And the attack is only 115, which, isn't that great either. There's two really important things that push Gouging Fire completely over the edge. One is access to Dragon Dance. This is super, super important, right? Boosting your attack and speed is just the key combination that every sweeper dreams of. And Dragon Dance is the best, like, the most accessible move to get it done. So Dragon Dance on your Gouging Fire, okay, that's pretty scary. However, one thing that Gouging Fire has that Raging Bolt and Walking Wake lack, as you may have overlooked, but is very obvious right in your face, it's the fire typing. And the fire typing is very dangerous here because what this allows you to do is have a stab fire move in the sun that is also boosted by photosynthesis. See, Raging Bolt and Walking Wake didn't have that. They enjoyed the photosynthesis boost, but they never got to stack the stab boost on top of that. And multiplicative scaling in Pokemon can get out of hand when you keep going. So, let's keep going. With Dragon Dance, we can say, raises the attack by one stage. That's cool. But what if we just, and the Gouging Fire's like unique special move it gets is called Burning Bulwark. It protects, it's like King's Shield, but a little bit better in that if you make contact, it'll burn the attacker. It's not really relevant for this matchup. Rarely relevant in singles, much better in doubles, but this is singles. So anyway, Burning Bulwark, set that aside. Usually the attack of choice, Gouging Fire enjoys just Heat Crash because it's pretty heavy, no drawbacks, really strong fire move most of the time. So let's just take Heat Crash, and let's just throw on like a Choice Band, okay? And let's just go with like maximum attack, yeah, okay. So Heat Crash is going to usually be a 120 base power move against most things. Let's go over to the damage calc, okay? Let's go to Gouging Fire. Let's see here. Ubers, UU, standard. Let's go with choice band, adamant. Oh, they got flare blitz, but flare blitz is because they're a bunch of heavies and Ubers. We can just go with heat crash, right? So let's go. Let's say Toxapex. That's the one. That's the one everyone hates, right? We'll go with bold. Okay, so let's see. Let's actually start without the choice band. Okay, so heat crash, 120 base power against big old Toxapex, right? 17.4. Not a whole lot of damage. Okay, let's add back in the choice band. Okay, 26, 30.6. We're doing a little bit more. All right. Now, let's say photosynthesis is active. Let's give it the attack boost. Okay, 33. Now we're getting somewhere. And now let's throw in the sun. And look at that. 50.8. We went from 17% to like 50% because of all these multiplicative scaling. So if we're going to break that math down, I did it in the thumbnail to do it humorously. But again, I don't even have to use a calculator. I can just use my incredible mental math to show you how much scaling this is going to give us. 1.5 from the choice band boost times 1.5 from the same type attack bonus. Let's throw in another 1.5 from the sun, and then 1.3 from photosynthesis. So the power boost that you're getting to a normal heat crash you use, it's about 4.38 times. And if you add that to, the heat crash that we used, it was 120 base power against Toxapex. Yeah. The heat crash that you're using in choice band, adamant, sun, with gouging fire, it's like 526.5 base power. That's like 2 explosions in one turn. That is ridiculous. Like this 115 base attack power, yeah, it's more than that. It's a lot more than that. Gouging fire is so strong. And so let's say that you let's say you're not using choice band. Let's say you're using something like Dragon Dance. Maybe you have like a Shuka berry to like reduce the damage you're being taken to help you set up a Dragon Dance. So again, this is going to be the same amount of power as choice banded gouging fire in the sun that I just showed you, but with a speed boost, 281 times 1.5. I can just do that in my head. Look at that. 381 times 1.5. That's 571.5 speed. Wait a second. That's not right. It's 281. My bad. I'm spreading misinformation. 281 times 1.5. Sometimes my mental math isn't the greatest, guys. I have my off days too. 421.5 speed off of one Dragon Dance. That's pretty fast. That's faster than Is that faster than Dragon Ball? Hold on. Oops. My mental math. How I should know this. I just off my game. My OU days are gone. Oh, 421. That's actually a speed tie with Dragon Ball. That's actually kind of gross. But I mean, hey, I take that. So all this to say, I'm pretty sure it rounds up. Actually, I'm not sure. I should know this. Gouging fire with Dragon Dance or Choice Band or like anything it wants to do, insanely good, ridiculously strong. Fire moves hit like nukes. This thing is incredibly strong. And that, in case you forgot, is what I have to fight. Gouging fire in the sun was already too powerful for OU, and I need to fight it with Golduck and Decidueye and my value picks that they're good under the rain, but the rain's not going to be up for long. So this is what makes this a nightmare matchup. Gouging fire even in the rain, this is the problem. The fire moves might not hit that hard, but the dragon moves are still going to be pretty decent into my team, because if you're paying close attention, I have no fairy type, and if I want to resist gouging fire's dragon moves, that would require me to switch in my steel types, and those Pokemon are not going to take fire moves very well. So gouging fire, choice banded gouging fire, has put me in this incredible conundrum where switching into it in the sun is a fool's errand, and switching into it in the rain is still difficult enough that it's like a problem still. So Gouging Fire and Venusaur so far are functional under the rain and amazing under the sun, whereas my stuff is like not great at all, right? To put the frosting on this nightmare cake, we need to look at the supporting crew. Mandibuzz is incredibly bulky. It can annoy my team with knockoff and U-turn. The one saving grace is that Mandibuzz is kind of fast at 80 speed, so it cannot underspeed something like my Incineroar at 60, for example. That means my parting shot is always going to go second. That's going to give me a huge advantage with positioning. It has some options in general for doing damage, like Foul Play or Brave Bird, but and there is this is going to be his primary form of hazard removal as well. Komala is not showing up. That's a piece of shit. Conkeldurr can technically defog, but that's also not something it should be doing. Mandibuzz with defog is his primary form of hazard removal, so that's important to keep in mind. But basically, it can Foul Play or Brave Bird, but that's way less important for me than knock off U-turn, roost, and defog. That's those are the key moves Mandibuzz is probably going to use if it shows up. And it's a dark flying type with you're looking at these stats, right? 110 HP, 105 defense. Decidueye is never breaking through this. Ever, ever, ever. It also has 95 base def in case I wanted to try something on that side. Nope. No chance. Decidueye is completely useless in front of a Mandibuzz, which is what makes me not want to bring it at all. Screamtail, usually not thought of as a pivot, but in this format, it can use Baton Pass, so it can be a fast pivot after using an Encore or something. It also has a ton of options, just as a Pokemon in general. It can boost your energy speed in the sun. It has Calm Mind potential. I've even seen like a complete nut job set with like Calm Mind, Bulk Up, Stored Power, Drain Punch. Shout out Storm Zone. That's like an OU menace, but technically that is still something I have to worry about in this matchup too. But it could also just be something like Wish, Protect, Encore, Dazzling Gleam. Just like a pivot or like support set. I think it can set rocks. It has so many options, and you gotta account for most of them. So that's a threat in itself. Lantern is one of his best pivots because it's a pretty slow volt switch that I can't really block. As you can see, my wonderful team has no ground types. So even though Kilowattrel with Volt Absorb can absorb and block that Volt Switch, Kilowattrel has no tools to break past a Lantern which has Volt Absorb itself. So it's not terribly useful for me to have Kilowattrel even if I switched it into a predicted Volt Switch. I can't Thunderbolt, it's immune. I can't have Air Slash. My Hurricane will miss. Air Slash isn't going to do anything because it's resisted. Weather Ball, even in the rain, it's resisted. In the sun, it's also resisted. Water and fire, Lantern's a water type. So Kilowattrel's got nothing it can do into Lantern. I also can't really punish them for clicking Volt Switch again. I could try and be fancy and like, oh, I brought in Kilowattrel on the Volt Switch. Now you have to click Scald or Ice Beam. Oh, now I'm gonna bring in my something Arcaludon or Jirachi to take advantage of that, right? Like you could say I could do that, but in reality, because Kilowattrel applies no pressure to Lantern, there is no punish to just Lantern clicking Volt Switch again. Like, so what if you absorb the first time? It's on you to do something about me. I can just click it a second time. I don't care. So Lantern can just pivot most of the time. It can also run Flip Turn too, but that runs into my Dry Skin Toxicroak, so it's unlikely they have to rely on that. They could bring both if they wanted. They don't have to. Volt Switch is good enough. So the picture I'm trying to paint here is that there's all these pivots that helps him get great positioning with Ninetales to win the Weather War. And there's this ungodly, unstoppable wall breaker that can still put in the work in the rain, and that's overall very difficult for me to stop. Meanwhile, my pivoting is inferior. My attackers are more reliant on the weather and they're worse than the sun. And oh, I almost forgot. The strawberry on top of the frosting, on top of this nightmare cake. I told you I was going to get to it. That right at the bottom, Rhyperior is the Terra Captain. Look at that Pokemon. Use your imagination, okay? What do I do about Rhyperior if it decides to go Terra Water with Lightning Rod? Kilowattrel can't hit it because Lightning Rod makes it immune to electric moves. Arcaludon can't Electroshock, same thing. Quaquaval cannot do very much to it because with the Terra Water, it resists my Aqua Step. Close combat is not going to do much because Rhyperior naturally has massive physical defense, 115 HP, 130 base defense, huge. And what like Polytoad obviously it doesn't really have grass coverage. What am I going to do about this thing? I have kind of because I can't bring Decidueye, which is my grass type, because it's useless into Mandibuzz, into Gouging Fire, into like so much of his team, right? And I have like kind of weak grass coverage from Jirachi and Golduck. That's all I have. Like they're grass knots. That's not a 1 KO either. And Rhyperior could easily go Rindo Berry. So on top of Choice Band and Gouging Fire, I have to deal with something like a Swords Dance, Terra Water, Lightning Rod, Rhyperior that I struggle to kill and that can easily claim kills on me. At +2, there is not a single Pokemon on my team that is taking an Earthquake or a Stone Edge. So, unless I like Terra Arcaldon. So, like, joy of joys. I am absolutely fucked. There, like, this is a nightmare matchup. All right. How far are we into the recording? 36 minutes? Not bad. How about we start getting into the team, huh? Give me a little water break. So, let's get into it. This, whoop, not this. Wait, right. It was right here. There we go. So this is the team. Archaludon is not going to do much offensively in this matchup because Electroshot will simply get interrupted by Ninetales switching in and setting Drought immediately. So, the combination of Iron Defense plus Body Press with Flash Cannon, though, is actually a little difficult for Zach's team to switch into. However, Iron Defense is actually, like, not the easiest button for me to click. It is more so if Gouging Fire tries to click Dragon Dance. I'm expecting Choice Band into me because there's no real need for him to set up. He can just blow through my team immediately. So, and like a Dragon Dance sweep isn't really guaranteed to go through because if he gets one kill, then Politoad's going to come in. It's going to set the rain. Going to be very difficult for him to continue sweeping in the rain, even with a Dragon Dance. So logically, he should just be hit and run with his excellent pivots, hit and run with Gouging Fire, come in, kill, come out. You know, that's what I expect to see. But still, I should prepare for Dragon Dance a little bit, which is why Iron Defense is here. But I can't Iron Defense carelessly because if they switch in Screamtail or Ninetales as I Iron Defense, both of those Pokemon can outspeed and Encore me into Iron Defense, and then they can get free turns that way. Which would suck. But I just want to go back and show you I claimed that it's difficult for them to switch into Flash Cannon plus Body Press. Yeah, look at that. The main fighting resist is Venusaur and Screamtail, and neither of those resist Flash Cannon. So between Flash Cannon and Body Press, I can do something. I'm not a sitting duck, and it's very important for your defensive Pokemon to not be sitting ducks. So Flash Cannon, Body Press, it can do something against the whole team. Very important. It's more important though is Stealth Rock. This is actually a key part of my whole game plan here. Because Mandibuzz is the only hazard removal that they have with Defog, as a Pokemon, Archaludon matches up really, really well against Mandibuzz. There's not much Mandy can do to Archaludon, which means anytime it tries to defog, I can switch Archaludon directly into that defog and set the rocks back up. And there's not much Mandibuzz can do to force me out. If it tries to play this game of like, click and defog, I click rocks, whatever, I can Iron Defense up and then threaten Mandibuzz out with my boosted body presses. And that cannot be punished by foul play either. So, and it also works in the sun. So with this 4 moves, it's designed mainly to just keep rocks up, have a great matchup against Mandibuzz, and the very important here is the Terra type. Archaludon is going to be the Terra captain, of course, today. The Terra Fairy is super important to help wall Gouging Fire because, like I said, I have no fairy type, and this thing is going to be clicking dragon moves in the rain, which is very scary for me. So if I have Terra, Fairy, Archaludon, and I have the rain up to weaken gouging at the fire's fire type attacks, then Archaludon can sort of wall gouging fire. This is like the only defensive reprieve I have to stop gouging fire from taking a kill every time it comes in. So this is super, super important. And with that in mind, I wanted to maximize the defense and slap on a helmet on Archaludon so I can chip gouging fire down as much as possible. Because it won't be running Morning Sun in the matchup against Rain. That's another thing Gouging Fire can do. It's so bulky, sets up a Dragon Dance. Oh, you can't damage me enough? Well, guess what? I have Morning Sun in the sun to heal 2/3 of my HP in one turn, and then keep getting more Dragon Dances if you can't do enough damage to me. So another reason that Pokemon is incredibly broken. But that's not a factor I have to worry about here. Thank God to my rain. There's no fancy EV spread that would help me out here, so I'm just going to go dump a little bit of creep in my speed. Max HP, max defense. That'll do the trick. That is our Cowdon, Bob the Builder. That's what we got going on here. It's if I get up rocks too, I should talk about this a little more because rocks is pretty important. The Stealth Rock plus the Rocky Helmet should be applying some good chip damage to Gouging Fire to hopefully limit the amount of times it can come in and take kills. So, I might not be able to ever be in a good position to get a clean attack off on Gouging Fire, but if I can do so with passive damage and take it down that way, all the better. Rocky Helmet Rocks should be putting in great work. Rocks is also going to bite into Ninetales and to a lesser extent Mandibuzz, provided both of those Pokemon are not holding the heavy duty boots, which would deny hazard damage. Cutting into Ninetales HP 25% anytime it switches in, that's going to be huge to winning the Weather War, right? Because if I set up the rain, Ninetales has to come in to set up the sun, and if I'm forcing it to take chip damage to reset the weather, then that's going to help me win the Weather War. So, super important. Rocks can help me do that, and that's just a huge part of the game plan. Politoed. Sometimes Politoed is like window dressing. Sometimes it's just like little like 0.5 Pokemon here to just be the drizzle pack. It's actually really, really solid Pokemon in this matchup. Obviously, because it's integral to winning the Weather War, but it's also a threat in its own right, which is really great. Whether I win or lose depends on how well I can use Politoed, if I can keep it alive, etc. I really wanted to use Weather Ball with Rindo Berry, so that if Venusaur in the sun tries to set up a growth on me, I can safely just click Weather Ball versus it and knock it out. Knock it out. Yeah, that's look at you. You really thought Politoed could get this kill, huh? With its 90 base special attack. No, it doesn't. I'm sorry, Bell. Even if I pump up maximum special attack, Weather Ball in the sun, a 100 base power move that's fire type in the sun, by the way, that's super effective against Venusaur, it doesn't kill. Yeah, this is a Politoed. Don't forget that. But assuming that my game plan of keeping up Stealth Rock is successful, then 236 EVs with a modest nature is enough for Weather Ball to kill after rocks. And that's a good amount of that's a good damage benchmark to commit to. I actually when I don't like go through the nitty gritty details when with speed tiers, but I know that Venusaur can go modest with 204 in speed. That would hit with 204 EVs. That would hit 494 speed to speed creep my Scarf Jirachi at 492, which would leave 32 HP for Venusaur to hit a Life Orb number. HP ends in 9, and then that would leave it with 20 EVs in Defense or Spit F. So when I'm calculating how much damage I want to do to Venusaur, I am calculating like the minimum defensive investment that would be optimal for Venusaur to have from my opponent's perspective. So 32 HP, 20 SPDF is what I was running my calcs against, and 236 special attack EVs with a modest nature, Weather Ball in the sun, that is enough to get a kill with Stealth Rock if Venusaur has 32 HP, 20 SPDF. It could run more, it could be bulkier, but if it's offensive, this will do the trick. So that is a good damage benchmark to hit. Um, it also, Weather Ball is slightly stronger if I'm in the rain, but I also want a reliable water move just to click. So, like, if I want to hit Rhyperior in the sun, for example, even if it's in the sun, Surf is 4 times effective. I don't want to be stuck with Weather Ball in the sun. That's a fire move, and then Earth Power isn't going to be doing very much. I still want Surf, so I committed a move slot to that. Earth Power is decent coverage. Hits Lantern, that's really important. And then Encore, it's Encore. It's always going to be useful. There's a lot of places that could do something, so it's always just gotta have a pretty bad reason not to have Encore. Like, if I switch into Rhyperior, for example, as it tries to SD, Encore the SD, boom, Rhyperior's gone. Threat neutralized, I can take like 3 turns trying to do damage to it, but at least Encore's gonna buy me those turns, right? Super important. Besides the special attack investment, just go max HP, a little bit of defense, a little bit of speed. Doesn't really matter. No huge thought behind that. Next one, Jirachi. Jirachi is a Pokemon that could totally steal the show because I'm using Power Herb plus Meteor Beam. So Jirachi usually doesn't have rock coverage. It's not really thought of as a Pokemon that can do a whole lot of immediate damage to fire types because usually you're thinking what, Siren Head or Calm Mind, Psychic, whatever, Thunderbolt, right? But the Power Herb Meteor Beam set can and might snipe Ninetales or Gouging Fire with that super strong surprise rock coverage. And that could be really cool. Uh, Unfortunately, Jirachi doesn't get access to Ancient Power in the Gen 9 format. It does in the Natdex format though, and I was ready to use Ancient Power and just fish for those Omni boosts with Serene Grace. Get up a sub. That would have been really funny, and honestly, not even suboptimal. But unfortunately, no fun allowed in Gen 9 draft. I cannot use Ancient Power Serene Grace Jirachi. I must stick with Meteor Beam Power Herb instead. So this is one of the ways I can really make progress into their team and open them up for the dominoes to fall. I have a feeling that they're going to rely on Fizz Def Helmet Lantern to soft check Quaquaval and hard counter any body slam, Iron Head tomfoolery that Jirachi might want to try. There is a slight chance they could go Water Absorb Lantern for Aqua Steps. I kind of doubt it, but it's still something I have to respect. And they're probably going to be Volt Absorb, but I don't know. I kind of have to respect both of those things, and I kind of don't want to find out which one it is. So yeah, but what I'm thinking is it could totally be like Fizz Def Helmet to stop a Body Slam Iron Head shenanigans. So, and I expect Lantern to show up for that reason. So taking advantage of the set that I'm expecting from them, I want to use sub on Jirachi so I can avoid a T wave and then start throwing out attacks from behind that sub. So, and I want Grass Knot for sure to hit a Terra Water Rhyperior. And it hits Lantern too. But, well, actually, no. Psychic is stronger into Lantern. I could go Energy Ball, but I really wanted the stronger Grass Knot into Rhyperior, and Psychic was good enough against Lantern, so I just went with Grass Knot instead. Um, the thing is, when you run Meteor Beam and Sub, you only have 2 attacks left to hit the whole team. So, and there's no 2 move combo that gives me great coverage against this whole team. I wanted Psychic to have a reasonable stab move against the other fire type that I may or may not snipe with Meteor Beam, one of them, and then I still want Psychic to hit Ninetales or Catching Fire the other way. Um, Psychic Grass Knot leaves me unable to really do damage to Mandibuzz if I've already clicked Meteor Beam, and I also can't really do damage to Screamtail in general. So I can't. It's not going to be perfect with the amount of move slots I have, which is 4. It's always 4. But this is a set that can definitely steal the show, snipe a super crucial kill, and do some work from there. So I'm hoping Jirachi can do something. And I also do want it as a steel type in general. You might need to be switching into Gouging Fire under the rain and taking Outrage, you know? Um, and it's also very helpful to beat Venusaur in the rain too, with the Psychic and outspeeding Venu at 297 speed, very important. This is gonna go max special attack to improve the odds that I can kill Ninetales and Gouging Fire because they might go a little bit of bulk. And then I just get a little bit of HP left over because 297 speed is hitting everything I really want to. What speed is that actually? 297, I kind of forgot. Handy thing about the draft zone is that I can check the speed tiers like this. 297? Do you say 299? What was 297 for? Am I tripping? Was it for Timid Venu? No. Timid Venu hits 284. What was 297? Was I just expecting Ninetales to outspeed? Oh, you know what it was? I think it was just like, yeah. Yeah. I think it was my 85s, right? Yeah, because yeah, that's what it was. It was simple. My all of my four base 85 speed Pokemon hit 295. So if they want to speed creep them, they hit 296. And then I just wanted to double speed creep that at 97. That's what I was going for. Kind of a cheeky thing, but I just really wanted Modest, so I might as well. That's fine. Okay. Here is Incineroar. It is you're looking at this set and you're thinking, "Whoa, SRN, this is singles here, buddy. Why are you pulling up with a doubles set?" We'll get into that. Incineroar is another like linchpin of the crew. It feels like every member of the team is a linchpin, but Incineroar is going to be like super key to switch into Ninetales and Mandibuzz and Screamtail, and it's going to be soaking chip damage from all of them and give me a slow parting shot to reposition while punishing any sort of offensive positioning from them. It's also going to be really important part of shuffling stuff around and racking up damage with Stealth Rock. Remember, they have superior positioning to me with all of their pivoting, which is another reason why I wanted to lean into Stealth Rock to try and punish all that switching around. And because my Rocker and Arcaludon can beat their removal in Mandibuzz, this felt like a realistic plan. Incineroar with Parting Shot is also going to be forcing them to switch around and do all that, shuffling stuff, which is giving me more chances for rocks to rack up damage. So, that said, I was uncertain if I should go boots or not. I was sort of wishy washy on whether or not Rhyperior will set rocks, because while it might make sense from a team building perspective, you gotta have rocks all the time. They have also never once set rocks with Rhyperior. I watched all of their replays. That was a really, it's always important to watch the replays on your opponent if you have access to them to give you an idea of their skill level and their habits. And they told me that Zach is a really good player and that he does not really bother setting rocks with Rhyperior because it's a Terra Captain and Terra Captains should be getting shit done. So he's always, been clicking Swords Dance, throwing out a bunch of attacks, tanking hits, getting damage down, but never really setting rocks. Even on the matches where they don't bring Orthworm to set hazards, they never really set rocks with Rhyperior. They'd rather just Swords Dance and Pop Terra. So I just was pretty sure that they weren't gonna bring rocks. Maybe it could be on Scream. I might be spreading misinformation again. I just really want to double check that Screamtail actually gets access to Stealth Rock. It does. Okay, yes. I wanted to make sure my memory's not playing tricks on me. All right, yeah. So that is a Pokemon that could set rocks, but that's kind of an issue if it does. But I just think that because their only removal is also defog Mandibuzz, and they're going to defog their own rocks away, there is not a high chance that they have rocks. So I was thinking, boots versus leftovers and instant. I was gonna go with leftovers because it just doesn't, the hazard game from them doesn't seem to be a focus. They don't need to chip me down with hazards when they can just position gouging fire well and blow up my team one by one. So yeah, there's also that angle. So I was thinking I wanted to be greedy and not run boots on Incineroar, go leftovers for better sustain throughout the game. And obviously, Intimidate is a no brainer. When I'm worried about Rhyperior and gouging fire the most, Knockoff, super important move because it helped me remove boots from Mandibuzz and maybe Ninetales and open those up to Stealth Rock chip damage. Knockoff always just the best move in the game, removing items, reasonably strong. Flare Blitz is important in that it is my best answer for stuff like Calm Mind Screamtail. If they try to Calm Mind in the sun, that can quickly like get out of control for me. So I need immediate damage into that, especially because my Jirachi set with Meteor Beam, Psychic Grass Knot, Jirachi might look threatening to a Screamtail, but I have nothing to actually do damage to it. So I need Incineroar healthy for Flare Blitz to do enough damage and 2 KO Screamtail in the sun. And I also don't want Venusaur in the sun to be able to set up a growth on me for free. Again, you might be scared, but I can't just pretend that knockoff Parting Shot is actually enough to handle Venusaur in the sun. I need to have Flare Blitz to actually kill it. Yeah, Parting Shot is a no-brainer. There's a small chance they could go clear Amulet on something to block that, but I doubt it. And the upside of, actually inflicting the attack drops is super, super impactful. Fake Out is the one big question mark that you might be wondering. Fake Out is not a move that is often seen in singles. You might see it on Pokemon like Mega Lopunny or Mega Medicham, Pokemon that like are very, very strong, have a strong fake out to begin with, and that can inflict a little bit of chip damage. And, that could even be paired with other priority from these same Pokemon. Like Mega Lopunny has run fake out quick attack in the past that can help it revenge kill some threats that are weakened. Mega Medicham can use fake out bullet punch to similar but slightly worse effect, in my opinion. And Incineroar's fake out is not really doing that much damage, but it can help me stall out the sun turns and get some extra leftovers. And it like you could say Protect does the same thing for the most part, but both Protect and Fake Out have a weakness in the sense that it's not a free click anytime I feel like it, because Ninetales and Screamtail can both Encore me into Fake Out or Protect and make me useless, and I lose my great positioning. So these are moves that I also just can't click nilly-willy. There's also Kilowattrel, if we were to skip ahead a little bit. Uh, this is my quote unquote answer to Rhyperior. Because there's just nothing I can do against Rhyperior dog. So yeah. So I wanted some natural speed out of Kilowattrel, and nobody was like really good enough in this game except for you. Um and I wanted Kilowattrel to somehow contribute to this matchup. So Focus Sash plus Endeavor is really the best I could do. We're in desperation mode. So Sub was gonna help me control my HP more precisely. So even if they don't if they don't attack me and that attack doesn't bring me down to Focus Sash, I can still sub down to low amounts of HP. From full health, I have a HP number that is divisible by 4 plus 1. So 280, again, my enormously powerful mental math can tell you that 280 divided by 4 is 70. So I have 70. I have 4 70 HP subs each time I click substitute, and after those 4 subs, I'm down to 1 HP, which is the same thing Focus Sash would do. So just more control in bringing my HP down low in order for Endeavor to be maximally effective, because Endeavor really is the most damage I can do against the Terra Water Rhyperior. So That's all I got, dog. Air Slash just to do some damage because Thunderbolt isn't going to be very useful against a Lightning Rod Rhyperior. Air Slash can do something. It can hit Venusaur, it can hit Gouging Fire, it can do something to like most members of his team. So whatever, I'll take Air Slash. And U-Turn can help me get out versus potential electric immunities like Rhyperior and Lantern. Oops, sorry, hit the mic there. I just don't want those things switching in for free, and they are very much free switch-ins to kill Watchel. So I want at least U-turn to keep some momentum on my side. I could have chosen Volt Absorb myself to deny their Volt Switch Lantern, but Lantern can always carry both Flip Turn and Volt Switch. I can't even punish Volt Switch. There's no way I'm bringing Toxicroak in this matchup. So I'm not even going to really bother trying to block their pivoting moves. Competitive could proc on Defog from Mandibuzz, and a +2 air slash is actually a little bit threatening to their whole team. I would also scare them out with Thunderbolt, obviously. So there's a small chance the Kilowattrel could do some damage and make some progress. So yeah, that's there. I wanted to be greedy and go modest, but let's be real, the air slash damage ain't that important. I'd rather be honest and run enough speed on Kilowattrel to outpace max speed unboosted Screamtail and +2 speed Adamant Rhyperior in case Rhyperior tries to Rock Polish. Very real possibility that it does. Max special attack might as well. Putting rest into the HP would actually be a little suboptimal because I want my HP to number to be as low as possible for Endeavor to be as effective as possible. So even though, normally you're trained to just dump your leftover EVs into HP, in this case, you don't want to do that. So I put them into defense and SpDef instead. Honestly, random distribution, this shit doesn't matter. It's a Kilowattrel. But all that to say, we got sidetracked from Incineroar, the real linchpin star of the show here. Endeavor, if I bring Rhyperior down to 1 HP, then I could pair that with Fake Out from Incineroar to finish off whatever Endeavor weakened. So, in that sense, Fake Out gives me a very real benefit that Protect doesn't. Um, and this is the reason why, to get into the weeds a little bit, I have 32 attack EVs, because assuming that Rhyperior has 252 HP, because that feels kind of basic. Um, and assuming that maybe Rhyperior has leftovers, if Rhyperior is brought down to 1 HP after an Endeavor, and then leftovers heals it back up a little bit, I'm pretty sure the 32 attack EVs can allow Fake Out to do enough damage to kill Rhyperior from leftovers recovery plus 1 HP. So attack EV is a little bit important. Besides that, max HP is a no-brainer. I wanted to go 208 SpDef here. Why was that? Oh, because actually, why was that? I mean, the max HP alone with a little bit of defense guarantees that the Dragon Claw doesn't like 2-hit KO me from full. Um, yeah, I actually don't know why I have this specific number of SpDef and defense, but I'm pretty sure it might have let me survive some attack from a Venusaur. I forget. Also, very important, I tweaked my Ivy down a little bit to hit 147 speed. That's exactly 1 point slower than minimum speed Mandibuzz. But I don't want to go complete minimum speed because I still might outspeed an uninvested Rhyperior. So, very, very careful tweaking there with the IVs. Yeah, let's go. We did already talk about Kilowattrel, so the last Pokemon we'll cover is Quaquaval. They have run Water Absorb Lantern in the past, and funny enough, it was also when the opponent had a Quaquaval. So that is definitely a set I'm expecting to go up against. There is also, the Encore Screamtail, Encore Ninetales. There are a ton of obstacles that Quaquaval needs to succeed against. It's honestly a quite terrible matchup with the Sun, the Fast Encores, Venu, Screamtail, Water Absorb Lantern. But I still want it to be here regardless because I think it is a win condition under the rain. Winning the Weather War, like I stressed, is super important, but I actually want to have somebody to be able to convert that Weather War win into an actual win. So Quaquaval is the Pokemon that I chose this matchup that I felt would be that like quote unquote win button under the rain. So my other choice was Golduck, and Golduck was actually a real choice with Nasty Plot and Swift Swim. The reason I didn't choose Golduck is because even with the Nasty Plot up, it really struggles to break past Water Absorb Lantern, which is not the case of Quaquaval under the rain with a Swords Dance up. Uh, because even Max Defense Lantern will get OHKO'd by a +2 CC after rocks. So, and Golduck just doesn't have access to that level of power against Lantern because Grass Knot is not very strong against Lantern. So that is why I chose Quavel over Golduck. You know, surprise, surprise, he chose the 16 pointer instead of the 2-pointer. I know, but because Golduck is, you can't sleep on that guy. I wanted to give you a real reason why. So, a concrete reason. So the reason why I chose Mental Herb here is very important. Um, yeah, let's say that I Swords Dance and Ninetales boldly switches in to like take away my rain because it realizes that, I don't want to take an Aqua Step, but if it's in the sun, I can do it once, and I really don't want to let this thing get going under the rain. I switch in Ninetales immediately, right? They could do that. Once, and let's say I did this as I SD. Once they do that in that position, Ninetales has three reasonable options. It could Energy Ball to do damage, but if I'm healthy, it's not going to kill, so that's not the great choice. It could Encore me to lock me into Swords Dance, and thus it would have time to switch into something else and then kill me that way. Or it could use Will-O-Wisp. That would totally cut my damage output, and I would be easier to handle from there. Of those three choices, Encore is definitely the safest choice because again, Energy Ball might not kill. I could even be Rindoberry, even if you think it kills. Wisp can miss, or I could be Lumberry. And Encore, I could be Mental Herb, like I am, but Encore is still the safest choice because it's 100% accurate and it gets you momentum the turn after with Baton Pass too. So even if I Encore, then if I try to switch out because, oh shit, I'm encored into Swords Dance for the next 3 turns, I'm useless, they have so much time to kill me. If I switch out, Ninetales can then Baton Pass, know what I switched out into, and adjust accordingly. So they don't even lose momentum that way. So it's like Encore is just the ideal choice for Ninetales to be clicking in that position, which is why I chose Mental Herb over Rindoberry and over Lumberry. This is the item I think can most reliably buy me an extra turn to get going with Swords Dance and Aqua Step and then get myself into a threatening position. This also works against Screamtail in the rain, who cannot 1-hit KO me, but can cripple me with Encore. So if I SD, it tries to Encore me, Mental Herb breaks that. I Aqua Step. Screamtail's gonna blow up. I'm now faster than it. If it doesn't die to the first one, it's dying to the second one, and now I'm in position to actually snowball out of control. So, Swords Dance, Aqua Step, Close Combat, no brainers. I could run Triple Axle in the last slot to hit Venusaur, but I also really wanted Rapid Spin just in case Rhyperior does try to keep the rocks up aggressively, because I don't want it cutting into my Kilowattrel Sash. And I don't want Stealth Rock cutting into Incineroar's health either. It's not reliable removal, and I don't think that they'll try to aggressively set rocks, but I still want it just in case because rocks do kind of mess me up. The 224 EV is an attack, ensures that +2 close combat, 1-hit KOs, max defense lantern after rocks. The 168 speed EVs ensures that I can speed creep Venu after creeping my Scarf Jirachi after 2 Aqua Steps, as well as speed creeping booster speed Screamtail, which could creep my Irachi after 2 Aqua Steps. Basically, they're not doing much without 2 Aqua Steps, but that's okay. And I have 116 HP EVs left over, which usually avoids a 2-hit KO from an unboosted Psychic Noise from Screamtail. It's like 42.9 to 51.1%. It might not be unboosted, but whatever. So that's the team breakdown. Let's go over what I expect them to bring. Let's go back to the draft zone. Yeah, right here. So 100% who is showing up. I think obviously Ninetales is showing up. Obviously Gouging Fire is showing up. I think it's pretty clear that Lantern is definitely going to show up. Because it should want to prevent Jirachi from doing its body slam Iron Head bullshit. Great case to bring it, make it water absorb while you have Lightning Rod Rhyperior to be the electric immunity. Yeah, I could expect Rocky Helmet or Cobra Cloak with stuff like maybe Flip Turn, T Wave, T Bolt. You could do Scald, Ice Beam, Rest, Sleep Talk, Eerie Impulse, even. So, all of that is the reason why I brought sub Jirachi with Psychic. But yeah, I'm definitely expecting that to show up, right? Screamtail, I'm definitely expecting that to show up because that is his best dragon resist. Like Orthworm is really not a good answer to Arcaldon, so Screamtail is definitely going to be that. It could have moves like Sunny Day or Disable to shut down Electroshot. It could Wish Protect. It could Baton Pass. It can Calm Mind. I've seen him use Throat Spray, Calm Mind with Boom Burst before, which is super sick. With like booster speed, but that was on a team with uncontested weather, so I'm not sure they would commit to that kind of set here. It was very difficult to gauge what kind of thing Screamtail could run because there's so much it could do. But I know it's going to show up. I think Terra Water Lightning Rod Rhyperior is super difficult for me to handle. Because again, my grass attacker is Decidueye, which is hardwalled by Mandibuzz, and there's no other ways I can cleanly take care of it. So definitely going to show up. Definitely going to probably pop Terra and SD because they love to do that. There's a potential for Rock Polish as well. If they are loaded dice Rock Blast and they just blow up my Kilowattrel, I am so totally screwed. But I think other moves like Lumberry for maybe a potential for against my Wisp Incineroar. They could do like Resto Chesto. They could do Rindo Berry to survive my grass coverage, or they could just go leftovers. Keep it simple. Either way, lots of things this Rhyperior can do. Terra Water Lightning Rod SD is almost certainly going to be one of them. The Gouging Fire could be anything, but like we said, it's probably going to be a Choice Banded set because my Dragon Resist is Jirachi, and Jirachi, you're thinking not gonna. Yeah, Meteor Beam Power Up is kind of unexpected. You don't think Jirachi can do much to a Gouging Fire, so uh, in like even Dragon Claw, you don't have to commit to Outrage. They might be cognizant of the Meteor Beam Power Up deck, so even a Dragon Claw is going to be good enough to just do decent damage into me with a Choice Band. So then, of course, that's why I'm going to be Terra Fairy Arcaldon to counteract that. And another reason why it's so important to win the Weather War, I still can't switch in Terra Fairy Arcaldon into a Sun boosted fire attack, but I can't do it if it's in the rain. It could be DD, it could be Morning Sun, but Iron Defense Body Press Arcaldon, if it's healthy, can handle that stuff, especially in the rain. They love to use sub DD leftovers. My life would be easier if it was just that again, but they're a good player. They probably know Choice Band is the way to go here. And that's what I'll be expecting. Obviously, Ninetales is showing up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 Pokemon that were. Oh, and 5 Rhyperior. Yeah. The last one, I was between Mandibuzz or Venusaur. Mandibuzz, obviously, it's his best hazard removal. I would expect like knockoff U-turn, Roost, Defog, maybe Toxic in there. It's pretty difficult for me to break, and it can be taken advantage of with Arcaldon. So I would be happy to see it, sort of. Venusaur is like he might think I need removal, but then think he needs to bring Mandibuzz, but he might also realize that like Arcaludon is gonna beat Mendy either way and keep rocks up. Venusaur would be the one that I would be a little less happy to see because it does very much destroy me in the sun. Um, and natural typing is good against Quaquaval, so I would understand them bringing that too. So ultimately, I'm expecting Screamtail, Ninetales, Gouging Fire, Lantern, Terra Water Rhyperior, and a toss up between Mandibuzz and Venusaur. Orthworm, Komala, Conkeldurr are not showing up, is my bet. So, the next section of my prep. Who am I scared of? Everyone. Okay, let's move on to the next. No, let's break it down. Who do I need healthy for their threats? I want Incineroar healthy because it is my primary switch into Ninetales and Screamtail. Um, I don't want to be bringing Politoed in to Ninetales all the time because that allows Ninetales to baton pass into an advantageous partner and position. So the good thing about Incineroar as well, switching Incineroar into Ninetales and intimidating Ninetales means that the attack drop gets baton passed to Rhyperior or Gouging Fire, making them way easier to tank. So Ninetales is going to be spamming the shit out of Baton Pass because it's pivoting. That's what it does. That's what the game plan is, right? Making sure that I get an Intimidate down on Ninetales before it clicks Baton Pass, it's still going to have better positioning and more momentum, but it means that I can weaken their offensive breakers, and it's going to make my life so much easier. So it's paramount that Incineroar is healthy enough to switch into Ninetales and actually force it to Baton Pass, right? Like if I was at 40% health and I'm switching into Ninetales, well, Ninetales isn't pressured to Baton Pass. It could just Weather Ball me twice or like Flamethrower me twice and then just get rid of me that way. So I need to also be healthy enough to scare Ninetales out. But Incineroar has to constantly be switching into Ninetales, so it's possible I can get chipped as well. So dangerous, dangerous. And all of that on top of the fact that the threat of Calm Mind Screamtail is very real, and I need Sun up with Flare Blitz and enough health to take Flare Blitz recoil and a Screamtail boosted attack to actually handle that. So Incineroar's health is super, super important in this matchup, and I need instant healthy for that. Archaludon needs to be healthy, and it needs to Terra Fairy pretty early in order to soft check Gouging Fire. You could say that it soft checks Rhyperior too with the Iron Defense Body Press. That is true. So it's also nice for that. But again, I can only check Gouging Fire in the rain if it's sun, and if it gets positioned in the sun with no attack drop, with the booster attack and the choice band, there is just nothing I can do about his fire moves. So we need to make sure that doesn't happen as best we can. I want health on Jirachi to sub on Lantern and potentially switch into Screamtail, but it's also risky to sub on Screamtail because it can encore me. And even Screamtail can carry fire coverage, and it's not that strong, but if it's in the sun, then it is still going to be doing enough to me. Kilowattrel, I need it to trade into Rhyperior with Endeavor, so I need to keep it alive for that. Punishing the defog from Mandibuzz with competitive is a secondary priority. It's not as important. And Quaquaval obviously needs to stay alive to try setting up on Ninetales or Screamtail down the line. So, as far as the answers that they have to my threats, Archaludon doesn't have many long-term answers between Body Press and Flash Cannon, but it's easy to catch it locked into one or the other, and then Encore with Ninetales or Screamtail. So it's not exactly an offensive threat I can count on. And powerful special attackers like Venusaur can put me out of business very quickly as well. And if I don't have any defense boosts, and I'm fighting Choice Band, Gouging Fire in the Sun, I'm also screwed. Quaquaval's main obstacle is the weather more than any individual Pokemon, as if I have the rain up, even Venusaur is not going to be a huge problem. Lantern and Screamtail are going to be toast. Jirachi's main obstacle is just the one-time nature of Power Meteor Beam. Once that's popped, then I only have Psychic or Grass Knot to work with, provided they will be a +1, but there are Pokemon like, Screamtail, Ninetales, Gouging Fire, which could take one hit or more and knock me back out. So yeah, those are like the only real threats I have. I guess Politoed's there, but if the sun's up, Politoed's not doing that much. It'll just do some attacks. Lantern, Venusaur can take attacks from it. I'm pretty sure I'm never going to break Screamtail if it's in the sun, or even if it's in the rain. If it has enough Spadef investment with Wish Protect, Politoed's never breaking through it, but that's fine. As far as my lead analysis goes, I think this is the one time where leading Politoed might actually be the best lead and not just a reluctant, I can't counter lead every Pokemon that beats Politoed, so I might as well just lead Politoed and get the rain up early. If they lead Rhyperior, they'll be forced to Terra immediately and will probably just EQ. But even if they Stone Edge, that's fine. I'm just going to go hard into Kilowattrel and then try to Endeavor from there. So that's okay. If they lead Choice Band Gouging Fire, which would be weird, but if they do, I can just swap into Archaludon in the rain. I can Terra, get a Brox, go from there. We're chilling. If they lead Mandy, I also switch into Archaludon and get a Brox, Terra Fairy. Well, I might not Terra Fairy immediately versus Mandibus because it could technically be toxic, but switch into Archaludon and get a Brox. We'll go from there. If they lead Screamtail, I think I can afford to just Weather Ball or Surf. And if they try any funny business like Calm Mind or Stealth Rock, I can just Encore that on the second turn. I could also Earth Power against the Screamtail if I predict Lantern to switch into my Politoed, which would totally work. If they lead Ninetales, then I definitely just stay in an Earth Power because my rain goes second. I'm not worried about Ninetales and anything it can do to me, Politoed in the rain. And Earth Power hits Ninetales if it stays in, but it also hits the likely Lantern switch in if that's the case. If they lead Lantern, that's the one lead that Politoed doesn't handle well, and unfortunately, that's the one I'm expecting to because Zach is good. If I want to play it safe, I could go Archaludon on an electric move. That's not Volt Switch to get a procs. If it's Volt Switch, and it's probably Volt Switch, like I might as well just take the damage and Earth Power Lantern immediately because if I panic switch, I'm just losing momentum and I'm not necessarily being in a better position. If you already caught me on the wrong foot, I might as well just stay in and get the chip. If they lead Venusaur, I guess I could switch into Jirachi. That feels kind of obvious, but maybe Kilowattrel on Earth Power is cool too. I guess Kilowattrel doesn't mind taking a Sludge Bomb as long as it doesn't poison, but I don't think they would lead Venu. But yeah, that's all in all. Politoed lead matches up reasonably well against most of their possible options, so I think Politoed is just the best way to go. As far as who to sack, who is the least valuable member of the team, that's a really hard question to answer because this matchup is so bad that every member is so key. At the same time, Archaludon loses importance once Mandibuzz, Gouging Fire, and Rhyperior go down as long as rocks are kept up. So maybe in the late game Archaludon can go. Jirachi honestly isn't that important as long as I can get off a Meteor Beam and kill something. If they have Venusaur, then I want Jirachi in the rain to handle Venusaur, but if Venusaur doesn't get brought or is dead, then Jirachi is less important too, and that can go. Incineroar isn't so important once I win the Weather War. If Quaquaval and Politoed are healthy, they might be able to handle a Calm Mind Screamtail. I might still need Incineroar's Dark typing by then for Psychic Noise, but actually Incineroar once I've won the game or won the Weather War, Incineroar isn't that important. So in other words, Incineroar is the most important member of the team. As long as Kilowattrel takes Rhyperior or Venusaur down with it, it's done its job. You can let go. You can be let go at any time. But I don't think I'll have to sack Kilowattrel. It will die in the process of doing its job. So, and I wanted to create some more lines as well, just in advance. When I'm fighting a good player that I think will respect my sets, I want to try and plan out some stuff in advance. If Jirachi comes in on Screamtail, they must scout for some bullshit like Body Slam or Iron Head. Even though I know that my set is completely useless against Screamtail, they don't. So they will probably switch into Lantern, and if I haven't revealed anything, Jirachi switching into Screamtail and then forcing Screamtail out, that's the best time for me to sub, as Lantern likely comes in. And once Lantern is in, it can't break my sub easily. I want to go for Psychic first. If they bring in Ninetales or Gouging Fire, I might want to Psychic again, just because they might be good enough to scout for my Meteor Beam. And I don't want to fire my Meteor Beam into something that isn't Ninetales or Gouging Fire or Mandibuzz. I want to kill one of those things with Meteor Beam, so I want to be careful with how I use it too. Psychic is also the best move I have to hit Lantern and Ninetales and Gouging Fire, so if they try to scout that with Screamtail, then they might Encore me, but they also, you know, they might still need to scout for Flash Cannon too, depending on their speed. Well, no, that's not true. They're definitely going to be faster than me. But even if they Encore me into Psychic, If Screamtail doesn't have fire coverage to break my sub, if it's just like Wish, Protect, Encore, and then like Psychic Noise or Dazzling Gleam, then encoring me into Psychic isn't actually making that much progress for them unless they have Mandibuzz. They could encore me into Psychic and just PP stall my Psychic, which is an issue, but I guess I can just bring in Incineroar at any point if that happens. So that's fine. Either way, I want to catch Ninetales or Gouging Fire on maybe the second try and try and snipe it with a Meteor Beam then, rather than firing it too early. So Mandibuzz was like a consolation prize if I catch it with Meteor Beam, but I wouldn't mind getting that either. So that's how I want to play Jirachi. With Kilowattrel, I think swapping into Rhyperior and spamming sub might be too obvious. As a like to reveal Endeavor later. And I don't want them switching into Helmet Lantern to absorb my Endeavor because if I sub 4 times and I'm at 1 HP and then I Endeavor into Lantern, the Helmet chip would immediately kill me. I have no Endeavor left for the Terra Water Rhyperior that's still at full health, and I'm in a terrible position because I made Endeavor obvious. It wouldn't be so bad to get rid of Lantern, but leaving Rhyperior healthy is terrible. So against Rhyperior, rather than clicking sub to get down to 1 HP as quick as possible, I would rather just like to keep my Sash intact and then click Air Slash to let Rhyperior bring me down to Sash, and then I Endeavor after I Air Slash. Even though the Air Slash chip is quote unquote pointless, it's still getting me something if they switch Lantern in on Endeavor, because they can do that anytime if they're suspecting Endeavor. I can't really stop them from doing that, but it's still better for me to Air Slash Rhyperior when I'm in front of it rather than sub. Because, yeah, the plain old Sash doesn't broadcast Endeavor as much as sub does. Because, could just be a sub Kilowattrel. I mean, could just be a Sash Kilowattrel. That's pretty normal. If I have seen if I see with like damage calcs from earlier in the battle that Screamtail is uninvested, I could Sword Stance in front of it with Quaquaval. There is, like I said, very low chance for Psychic Noise to 2 KO Quaquaval. Otherwise, if I've seen it's invested or if I see a stronger move than Psychic Noise, I cannot set up Sword Dance in front of Screamtail. I have to Aqua Step, and I need to be in the rain to 2 KO it. If I Sword Dance as Lantern comes in, then I can catch it with a +2 close combat, and it's also likely that after I kill Lantern in that position, Screamtail will want to quote unquote revenge kill me with an Encore. So Mental Herb could also kick in there, and I click Aqua Step then. Because even at -1 SPDF, I don't think Psychic Noise would kill me if I was at full. If Quaquaval is in a 1v1 against Ninetales, if the Ninetales is in range of Choice Band Aqua Jet, then, even if it's in the sun, there is a chance that they scout for that and they're scared of that, and then Lantern can come in. So it might be scary, but I think I have to Ninetales in front of Swords Dance in that case. It's very unlikely that they keep Ninetales in to Wisp on a potential Lumberry in that case. It's very unlikely they Energy Ball when I could be Rindoberry or Scarf. It's very likely for them to be safe and swap into their Lantern instead. So even if it's dangerous, I must Swords Dance in front of Ninetales in that case. And Fake Out Incineroar is nice, but there's a chance they could go Covert Cloak on some Mon as prep for Jirachi, so I can't be too cocky with it. Even Mandibuzz, Rhyperior, Lantern could all have Covert Cloak. Lantern, I kind of expect to have Rocky Helmet because that punishes Ironhead just fine. But then again, I could go Protective Pads on Jirachi, so the game continues. They might go Covert Cloak on Lantern and T-Wave to prepare against like a potential Protective Pads Jirachi, so I can't be too cocky with Fake Out as is the lesson here. It's only in very uh niche scenarios. Like if gouging fire is in front of me, I can fake that out. That's fine. There's no way that can punish me. Screamtail and Ninetales can encore me. Clover Cloak could be somewhere. Got to be careful about all that. Okay, I think that is enough of breaking down the team. How far are we into the recording? I always love checking this. 1.5 hours. Okay. Okay. Let me get a quick sip of water. My goodness. This is going to be longer than I thought. That's okay. All right, 1.5 hours into the video. How about we start the replay? Oh my gosh, guys. Wow. We are on record pace, record progress. Yeah, so I already kind of started turn one. Oh, I could refresh, but whatever. First things first. Let's not forget the basics, okay? Are the 6 we see the 6 we expected? And who's the Terra Captain? I very, very cleanly put everyone as stellar except for my Archaludon, which is fairy, to make it obvious for my opponent that Archaludon's the Terra Captain. But, however, it's up to me to identify that Rhyperior is Terra Water. That is the Terra Captain of choice. I guess Venusaur could Terra Grass. It's very unlikely that's the case, but yes, Rhyperior is Terra Water. 100%, that's what we expected. We confirmed that. Very important. Also, we do see a Venusaur instead of a Mandibuzz, which we were 50-50 on which would show up. That's okay. Gouging Fire, Screamtail, Terra Water, Rhyperior, Lantern, and Ninetales, as we expected, 100% are present. So, for the most part, the 6 we expected are the 6 we see. The Terra Captain we expected is the Terra Captain we see. I'm a little sad to see Venusaur, because Mandibuzz would have been free real estate for Archaludon. But, on the flip side, that also means that they cannot get rid of our rocks at all. They have no hazard removal. So, there's less pressure for me to keep Archaludon around to get rocks up. So, that's okay too. There's silver lining. Yeah. And Terra Water Rhyperior, we can be sure that's going to be Lightning Rod. So, we're not going to be clicking electric moves into that. As planned, we will lead Politoed and adapt accordingly. And I do want to explain this text on the side here. When this is actually like a recreation, technically, because when we first fought, Zach had forgotten to put Drought on Ninetales, and I insisted that we just restart the battle, reset. Fix your team, put Drought on Ninetales, and let's just repeat the same turn one. To be clear, you don't always have to do this when your opponent makes a mistake like this, but for good sportsmanship, I wanted to. If it was a smaller mistake, like, oops, I misclicked Zen Headbutt instead of Wisp on my Ninetales, they're right next to each other in the team builder, whatever. But Drought on Ninetales, that's the whole battle, right? Like, the Weather War is the whole point here. It's not, if that's not a factor, like if he doesn't have Drought on Ninetales, I'm unquestionably going to win, because it's not even going to be a fight with just my rain team against his sun team. So I insisted, like, we have to reset, get Drought back. We're gonna get this. We're gonna play a real game, We're here to have fun. Real games are fun. And it's not fun to just stomp on someone. So anyway, back to turn one. We're gonna see a Lantern. Now this is the lead that was the best into my Politoed. This puts me in a pretty tough position. Politoed is gonna probably, like, I could go into Kilowattrel to take an electric move, and then, they might be worried about Volt Absorb, whatever, but I can't. Not only did I not go Volt Absorb, I'm competitive, but even if I was Volt Absorb, again, Kilowattrel cannot really punish Lantern in that position. I can't do damage to Lantern. It can just keep clicking Volt Switch if it wants to and catch me. So they got me with Lantern. I just got to stay in an Earth Power and just let it happen, So I do a decent amount of chip. That's 48%. We do want to damage calc and see what exactly that kind of defensive spread tells us to. My Politoed was 236 with modest. Well, not timid, modest. And let's put Earth Power. Let's go with Lantern. Naturally has pretty decent SPDF with 125 HP, 76. Right, so if it was max SPDF, my Earth Power would have done like 30 something. But it did 48. So we make that, put that there. Let's just say it's max HP. This checks out, right? 50 chance to do a KO. That's pretty normal. If it's max HP, no SPDF, max defense, like we expected, probably for Quavel and Jirachi, Earth Power doing 48% makes sense. The range here is 45.8 to 54.1. So we can put that in the back of our heads. This is a Fizz Def Lantern, like we expected. Very important to have that information. And I'm happy to get that Earth Power chip. I need it for Quavel down the road. This is also one of his responses to Incineroar. And Incineroar is like my best mod in this matchup. So Weakening Lantern is definitely worth it, even if Politoed has to eat a Stab Volt Switch in the face, which it will. And again, eating this hit does kind of suck because this is the Weather War, right? And Ninetales comes in, of course, to take away my rain and set up the sun. Losing health on Politoed means it's going to be harder for me to win the Weather War. It's going to be harder for me to switch into stuff to get up my rain up. That not great, not ideal, but he got me in a bad position. I just had to make the best out of it. So I got the chip on Lantern. He got chip on me. We're going to go from there. And now Ninetales is in. The sun is up. And our Weather War has begun. So, remember what I said about Zach's teams pivoting? We need to start thinking about that right now. I can switch into my fire resists like Quaquaval or Incineroar, or I could even stay in an Earth Power again. But he is 100% going to Baton Pass here, and if I just switch, he will get to choose what to swap into. Leaving Politoed in and clicking Earth Power isn't the worst thing ever because I have a Rindo Berry. However, let's just double check here. 248 HP with no Spadef, that was the amount of special bulk I had. And that was modest, yeah. And I had a Rindo Berry. Let's see how much damage a Venusaur can do, right? So it can be definitely modest against me if it's Life Orb. And let's say it's Solar Beam, just for exaggerated effect. Oh, in the sun. Yeah, so if it's modest Life Orb, Venusaur, Solar Beam, that has a chance to kill me, even through the Rindo Berry at 64%. I'm actually likely to die. So if I Earth Power, or if I stay in, and he fast Baton Passes, he sees me staying in, he's like, okay, what is Politoed possibly clicking that could damage my Venusaur? I'm going to Baton Pass into Venusaur, takes an Earth Power. I'm in a terrible position because I can't afford to lose Politoed this early in the game. Solar Beam can threaten a one-hit KO on me, because I don't know the Venusaur set. It definitely could be Modest Life Orb, Solar Beam through my Rindo Berry, and I'm dead, right? And if I switch out, then Venusaur could also threaten a Growth, and I would be in a horrible position if I stayed in an Earth Power and they switched into Venusaur. So, like we said, the designated Ninetales switch in is gotta be Incineroar. So, and I'm 95% sure he's going to Baton Pass. And also, if you wanted an Energy Ball or something, whatever. I'm also saving some health on Politoed that way. So, Incineroar, got to be the play right here. And, like we thought, he's going to Baton Pass. I get the Intimidate off, and boom. Look at that. I get the Intimidate passed onto Rhyperior. Rhyperior is in, and it's in the sun, and it's in a great spot, but I at least got the Intimidate to make it a lot easier to handle, get the mileage out of that. Yeah. So, I could Parting Shot here, but it's a little dangerous to do so because I didn't put much speed investment into Incineroar. In fact, you remember I put 22 IVs out of 31 to make sure I was slower than Mandibuzz. Not very useful now, but still, I have to do that due diligence. I'm not going to be faster than Rhyperior if it decides to invest in speed. It could totally have speed to outspeed an uninvested Incineroar. And I do not want Incineroar to take a Stab, Earthquake, or Stone Edge, even if it's at -1. Incineroar's health is super important for Ninetales, for Screamtail, for everything. So I don't want to take this hit. Besides, we already set aside Kilowattrel as the designated Rhyperior cannon fodder. So taking unnecessary damage on Incineroar is stupid. Here's the thing, though, and maybe this is a mistake, but let me know what you think, whatever, in the comments. I have designated cannon fodder for Rhyperior, no matter if they Terra or not, but I really, really want them to Terra Rhyperior, because if I screw around and I don't force it here, they could potentially keep it for Venu, and there's no guarantee that I could contain a Terra Grass Venusaur as cleanly as I could contain a Terra Rhyperior, right? Because, I mean, who knows? Terra Rhyperior is, at the very least, something I can outspeed and Endeavor and then Fake Out. Even if it's a 1-for-1, it's a 1-for-1 trade, but it's like, it's that, it's not that bad. A Venusaur is fast. Venusaur is scary. So I really, even though I'm 95% sure they're going to Terra Water Rhyperior eventually, I want them to Terra as soon as possible. So what I actually want to do here is switch in Politoed hard. And again, maybe this is a mistake. I do take an Earthquake. I don't love it. I do, but at the very least, I know Rhyperior is 100% going to Terra Water right now, and forcing that, I think, just gets a load off my back. I don't have to worry about trying to revenge kill Rhyperior later if it hasn't popped to Terra yet. There's no mind games, you know. It's gonna 100% Terra Water here, and I can just switch into Kilowattrel and do the designated sack. And they as they do SD, yeah, they pop Terra Water SD. They love doing that with their Superior. That's cool. That's fine. Kilowattrel cannot do any damage to this thing. That is okay. We're just going to air slash until they bring me down to Sash, and when they do, I'm gonna Endeavor. Yeah, that is it. And like I said, no point in subbing. That might forecast Endeavor too much. Better off to air slash for chip. So let's see how this goes. Okay, I get a flinch. That's pretty good. Just do it again. Well, I get another flinch. Okay, do it again. Wow. Okay, so yeah. Listen, this was not a shrug your shoulders, Pokemon happens type of luck. This was like really impactful, really good luck because my Kilowattrel Sash is intact. One of their biggest threats is basically dead, and if they want to keep Rhyperior, they're losing momentum by switching out. Looking at the air slash damage, we can also tell, let's just do that. Kilowattrel, RU offensive pivot, timid, max speed, unboosted, replace Hurricane with air slash. Let's go into Rhyperior, offensive, Terra Fire, Terra Water doesn't make a difference. So my air slash was doing 32, 33%. That's in line for a Terra Water Rhyperior with a ton of Spadaf. It might actually be a very similar set to the one shown here, probably with like no speed though. So what this tells us is that one, Rhyperior probably does not have speed investment enough to outpace Incineroar. I should be pretty safe to click Parting Shot next time. If there is a next time, because Rhyperior is basically dead. Uh, but yeah, this Rhyperior being dead, almost dead, is enormous. It's huge. Um, I I'm not gonna say that it like decided the game because again, Kilowattrel was always going to bring down Rhyperior to 1 or 2%. The only difference is that Kilowattrel's dead, and but now I get to keep it. That's a pretty big difference. Even though it's like one of the worst ones on my team right now, it's still Kilowattrel really wanted to stay alive. So this this is really really good for me and really bad for Zach. And this was as he does actually reveal that rest was clicked. So we could we didn't know this, but it's probably rest with Chestoberry. The second attack could be Stone Edge. I guess it could be something else more accurate like Ice Punch because you don't really need rock coverage for because Earthquake is hitting everything except for Decidueye and Kilowattrel, and you don't need to risk Stone Edge against Decidueye Kilowattrel. Ice Punch is just as effective, so like I could see Earthquake Ice Punch, but Earthquake Stone Edge could work too, I guess. But yeah. Oh, let's go back to the replay. The fourth air slash here is a slight mistake. I definitely could have just U-turned with Rhyperior at 2%. If it stayed in, I get the kill with U-turn. If they switch, I get momentum. Now, because I air slashed, Lantern comes in kind of for free. And that was a small mistake for sure. I definitely shouldn't have air slashed again. But now I U-turn, and our Cowdon's not going to take very much from anything our Lantern can do. It resists water, it resists electric. They do Ice Beam. That's the most they can do, but it only does 20%, which is not a big deal. And this is a good opportunity to get a procs, so I'm just going to do that. They Thunderwave me, which is a little bit annoying, but it's fine. Actually, never mind. It's not fine because I get fully paralyzed. What the fuck? But I can't complain. I just got very lucky with air slash. And I wanted to body press this to weaken it, but I definitely cannot afford to let Archaludon go below half so quickly because I still want this thing around for gouging fire. So I need to get Archaludon out of here, but I need to bring somebody else in. And it's kind of risky to switch someone else in right here, but I want to risk Jirachi because if I switch in on Ice Beam and I don't get frozen, then I can sub on a potential T Wave the next turn and then get myself in a decent position from there. If they Volt Switch instead and Ninetales on my sub, and then they can bring in Ninetales or Screamtail, they can Encore me, that's fine, it kind of sucks. But at least I, got out of this like icky position. So I'm gonna risk T Wave on Jirachi. Kind of scary, but I will do it. Fortunately, I do catch the Ice Beam as planned. I don't get frozen as planned. They do. I will sub, but they don't T Wave smartly. They do decide to Volt Switch. They're going to bring in Screamtail. They're not going to risk any speed ties with an Encore from Ninetales. Very smart. Guaranteed Screamtail's faster. And I do bring in Incineroar on the Encore. So that was all the sequence that I kind of planned out. I accepted. This is okay. I'm okay with this. I lost a little bit of health on Jirachi, which sucks, and a little bit more health than planned on Archaludon, which sucks, but that's okay. Incineroar is in, and this is a super free knockoff. You could argue that the knockoff absorber on his team was Rhyperior after it clicks rest, then you lose its item, but there's nothing like that left now. So Lantern is the only thing that can really come back in here, so that's what it decides to do. Oh, and we do see leftovers on Lantern, not a helmet or a Cobra Cloak. No leftovers anymore. And I could switch Archaludon back in here, but I'm still paralyzed. I still could get fully paralyzed. I don't want to take any more damage, so I don't think that's an option. Politoed, obviously not an option. It's almost dead. I need that thing alive. Quaquaval, not an option. I don't want to get T-Waved. I don't want to uh, eat like a huge Volt Switch because that health could help me set up on Screamtail or Ninetales down the line. And Jirachi could have switched in on the Scald, but I don't want to risk. I don't want to do that again because they might catch on in T Wave. Um, and I also don't want Kilowattrel's Sash to be broken. So even though I'm gonna take a Scald here, it's a super effective stab water move. I think I just have to take it on the chin and get rid of Lantern here. And Incineroar definitely loses the health, which isn't great. But looking at their team now, it's none of these Pokemon really enjoy dealing with Incineroar. Venusaur doesn't like to. Rhyperior is almost dead. Ninetales can't really touch me. Screamtail can't really touch me. It's only Gouging Fire that can really threaten Incineroar now. So Incin's in a really good position. And Gouging Fire is not a big threat unless the sun is up. So this is it makes sense that Ninetales comes in here. And my eagle-eyed viewers will notice at the end of turn 16 there, Ninetales switched in, but it did not take Stealth Rock damage. So I mentioned, I didn't emphasize it, but there was a possibility that Ninetales is boots. That is the case here. So unfortunately, it means that our plan to chip down Ninetales with Stealth Rocks isn't really going to work unless Incineroar gets a knockoff into Ninetales, and well, we'll see if Zach lets that happen, which it's unlikely. And it's great prep by Zach to have boots on Ninetales, but it's important to as well that there is no pop-up message telling you that Ninetales is boots. You don't get a little message in the log saying that, oh, the heavy-duty boots of Ninetales prevented the Stealth Rock from doing damage. You just need to observe it and not miss it. Because if you didn't register that this Ninetales was confirmed boots, then later down the line, when you're trying to make a decision, you might be stressing that, oh no, it could be Scarf, it could be Pasho, it could be Shuka, That could complicate your decision making later in the game when it didn't need to. You get the idea. So always pay attention to hazard damage, because it can help you find out if anyone's holding boots, and that can help you make decisions later down the line. It is a little risky of me here to hard switch in Polytoad. I don't know why I didn't parting shot here. I really don't know. Small mistake. But Polytoad comes in because I'm super scared of gouging fire coming in the sun. I guess that was the reason why, right? Because normally I want Ninetales to be passing and intimidate for my Incineroar, but because Ninetales came in after Incineroar killed something, I didn't have any intimidate up to pass. So Ninetales in that position wants to baton pass into gouging fire to get a kill. So I thought that parting shot against a gouging fire in the sun is less helpful than switching Polytoad in to get the rain up, because gouging fire in the rain is way less threatening than gouging fire in the sun with -1 attack. So I think that was my logic for switching Polytoad directly into Ninetales there instead of parting shotting. Although, well, no, that still doesn't make sense because I just could have parting shot -1 on gouging fire and then switch Polytoad in on the parting shot. No, yeah, no. No, parting shot was definitely the play there. That was a small mistake. Okay, yeah. So, anyway, Polytoad's in. They baton pass into Venusaur. I'm switching into Jirachi totally, right? Because there's actually, no, I was smarter in battle than I was today. I switched in Kilowattrel because my Kilowattrel was supposed to be, actually, before we get to that, hold on. We see Black Sludge on Venusaur. And we do see the rocks. It does take rocks, so it's not boots. But we see it's Black Sludge. Black Sludge is kind of weird. So maybe they have like a bit of defensive investment for Quaquaval on this Venusaur. It's still going to be Chlorophyll, like for sure. They're not going to go Overgrow. But Black Sludge is weird. I don't understand the rationale behind it, because if I was them, you can just go like Modest Life Orb Venusaur and just rip like Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, Earth Power. You're still doing damage to everything, even in the rain. So I don't really get this, but either way, I don't go into Jirachi. I instead go into Kilowattrel because Kilowattrel was supposed to be cannon fodder for Rhyperior anyway, but through the power of friendship and magic, it is still magically alive. So it might as well be cannon fodder for the Venusaur. But even if Kilowattrel went down, I still had Jirachi at 68%, and it was always going to smash Venu in the rain, so make of that what you will. Venu Leech Seeds here and breaks my sash, so I guess that makes sense with the Black Sludge, but again, I don't really get why you would just go Modest Life Orb. So either way, Leech Seeds. I don't get to switching Kilowattrel on a predicted Earth Power cleanly, but that's okay. Now I get to U-turn. I don't Air Slash because although that is definitely going to do decent damage into Screamtail, it's going to do nothing. I mean, even though Air Slash would do decent damage into Venusaur, it's going to do nothing into Screamtail, especially with the Leech Seed on me. And I understand that Kilowattrel is not really going to be making progress into Screamtail here, and Screamtail is kind of obvious to switch in. So I do U-turn wisely instead of Air Slashing, which was the obvious play. And if they stayed in with Venu on my U-turn, then like kudos, but I can still go into Jirachi and manage things from there. So it would be okay. Unless they stayed in and like Earth Powered on my Kilowattrel, which would be crazy. That's the only play that would beat Jirachi. So yeah, that's fine. U-turn is definitely the play here. But as we see, if I could play one more time, they actually switch out with eject button. That was pretty cool. Uh it wasn't on my radar at all, right? Like in the whole hour and a half of the team breakdown and team prep, I did not think of eject button Screamtail at all. I just said Screamtail can do a bunch of different things, and this is one of them. And it makes a ton of sense to further lean into the pivoting aspect of this team and how important it is in this matchup. He uses eject button to go to Ninetales though, which is fine, right? I think ideally the eject button might have helped them position gouging fire in like in the sun to get a kill, but because the rain is up, they can't do that. So they had to use the eject button to get Ninetales in. And that's great. That's fine for me. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna U-turn into Incineroar. That's my designated Ninetales switching, and he clicks that fat baton pass into Gouging Fire. It is positioned in the sun. I'm shaking, I'm quivering. However, remember, Incineroar is the designated switch-in because Intimidate gets passed down to whatever they want a baton pass into. And we see the booster speed on Gouging Fire because, funnily enough, we don't actually know if it's booster speed because Intimidate reduced the attack or if it was booster speed to begin with. Because remember, Photosynthesis is going to give a boost to the highest stat, and that factors in stat drops like Intimidate, which Photosynthesis will activate after that happens. So we see Gouging Fire take rocks, meaning it's not boots. We don't see it left. We don't see it take leftover recovery, so it's not that. And so it's probably the choice band we feared. But it's choice band and it's -1, and it also doesn't have the photosynthesis attack boost. So it could be much worse. Thanks to the Intimidate, thanks to the good positioning with Incineroar, this Gouging Fire is a lot less scary than it could be. I'm going to do my cute little fake out here, get some chip, waste some sun. There's no punish to that. Get some more leftovers. Very cool, very cool. And then I'm going to just stay in. I could have switched into Archaludon here. I didn't switch out Incineroar, even though I could have prioritized itself because I didn't want Archaludon to take a fire move in the sun. It's only going to wall Gouging Fire in the rain with Terra Fairy, and we're totally out of position to attempt that. And I don't really want anybody else taking a fire move in the sun. Like, I guess I could sack Kilowattrel, but Incineroar is healthy enough to do something here. It's like it's okay. So I'm just gonna take the attack, and it ends up being a Dragon Claw. That's fine. I'm just gonna eat it and then Parting Shot, and then we get a safe switch into our Caledon here. Parting Shot now it's at -2, and we see that it's Dragon Claw. We see that it's Choice Band damage, doing 37 at -1. Oh, I guess I could show that to you actually, because we are all about the details here on this channel, aren't we? I'm pretty sure I had 20 defense. I was plus Bedef, Gouging Fire. Let's put you at max attack adamant with choice band in the sun, but photosynthesis got you speed at -1. Let's give you Dragon Claw. Oh no, that's oops, I already have Intimidate checked, so let's just do that. Yeah, so 37. This is damage in line with what we expect with the choice band Gouging Fire. So that's great. We confirm choice band on this thing. But confirming choice band also means that it's locked into Dragon Claw here, which means if I Terra Fairy, Gouging Fire is helpless to do any damage to our Caledon. Now, this turn it's like I think I make a small mistake here in the sense that I could have definitely just flash cannoned. I was not pressured to body press here, but he does catch my body press with Scream Tail. And this is kind of not a great position for me because they could encore me into body press and then I'm locked into doing no damage and they can do whatever they want. I definitely could have clicked Flash Cannon instead of Body Press, and there's no punish to Flash Cannon, because even though Flash Cannon won't do much to Gouging Fire, it's locked into Dragon Claw, and it can't do anything as I Terra Fairy. I was a little worried about Ninetales switching into Flash Cannon, and in that sense you could say the Body Press was better to catch that, because Ninetales coming in for free is worse than Screamtail coming in for free, but whatever. I'm going to go back to Incin as Screamtail reveals Wish, and now we kinda aren't worried about a Calm Mind set because this is probably Encore Wish Protect with some like single attack, maybe Dazzling Gleam, maybe Psychic Noise. In fact, we probably knew this wasn't Calm Mind the second we saw Eject Button. I probably should have mentioned that first, but this is a support set, which means I don't need health on Incineroar to Flare Blitz down a Calm Mind set, which means I only really need health on Incineroar for Ninetales and Gouging Fire to a lesser extent, and Venusaur to a lesser extent, mostly just Ninetales. So, these next few turns I really want you to pay attention to. I'm going to just let him play. He protects, and I knock off. He gets the wish up, okay? He wishes again, I knock off 18%. However, they switch into Gouging Fire, and I have the opportunity to knock off the Choice Band. Why is that? Let's break that down. My attentive, eagle-eyed viewer, let me ask you. Why didn't I Flare Blitz on turns 25, 26, or 27? Because Flare Blitz does a lot more damage than knockoff into Screamtail, especially when the eject button was already used. So why didn't I Flare Blitz? It does way more damage. There's nothing for me to knock off on Screamtail. We can even see that the Screamtail has Wish Protect, and my knockoff does 18% on turn 26. I'm doing nothing. This thing can just Wish Protect forever. So, why... Screamtail can sit there forever and roll me all day. So why do I keep clicking my weaker move knockoff? Why did Zach switch Screamtail out? And why did this sequence actually go super well for me? I'm going to answer that, but I'm not going to lie, guys. I need a quick bathroom break, BKC style. Give me a second. Okay. I washed my hands. Don't worry. So, now that I've left you with a few minutes to think over what could possibly explain this sequence of events, let me break it down. Oh, this is still technically conjecture, but Screamtail has revealed 3 moves. It's got to at least have 1 attack. I think it's Psychic Noise. And if it is Psychic Noise, then Screamtail cannot do any damage to Incineroar. And Psychic Noise, like in general, moves it like this makes a lot of sense. Encore, Wish, Protect, Psychic Noise. It can shut down any like fat, slow setup thing I try. But no matter how much Screamtail clicks Wish and Protect, if Psychic Noise is its only attacking move, it can't make any progress into Incineroar. But, as you saw, Incineroar also can't do enough damage to make progress into Wish Protect. So why doesn't Zach just stay in and stall me? I mean, like, technically, Knockoff has it could, if I was totally brain dead and I just kept clicking knockoff over and over, Wish Protect could PP stall out my knockoffs. That's an option, I guess. But that's pretty inconsistent and wouldn't really work. Still, why doesn't Zach stay in and stall me? That's one option why. But the more important reason why is because leftovers are slowly healing Incineroar back up throughout all these turns. I just got like 25% of my health back from turns 24 through 27, just chilling, just staying here because Screamtail can't hurt me. And Zach understands that and understands that he can't just sit back and wish protect. He needs to move. I can click knockoff all day and not care if I make zero progress into Screamtail because I'm getting leftovers back and Screamtail's getting nothing done. So when you find yourself into positions like these, it might not seem like you're in the driver's seat, but you actually are. Flare blitzing for more damage against Screamtail is a mistake because the damage you do won't stick, it can just wish protect it off, and you're taking recoil from Flare Blitz for no reason. Parting shot is a mistake because you're missing out on leftovers recovery, which you would get if you stayed in, and you're missing out on knocking something off. As we saw, I kept clicking knockoff, and he had to bring in something, gouging fire in this case, to receive that wish, but it also took a knockoff and a stealth rock chip, and it lost its choice band in the process too. So, and the rocks and the knockoff kind of balance out the wish pass. So, where we were in a good position. And you need to like think about when you find yourself in the driver's seat, don't hop out of it for no reason. Just stay in there. You have an advantage. Let your opponent get out of, like, force your opponent to navigate out of that disadvantaged state. You can just stay there. So that I really wanted to those few like turns don't look very fancy, but it's really important to explain why Flare Blitz and Parting Shot are clear mistakes in that position, and Knockoff was the best play. So now we can move on with the rest of the game. Um, turn 28, I'm just going to bring in our Caldon. The sun is not up. Sure, Gouging Fire isn't intimidated, but still, it's not going to do that much damage. They do just Dragon Claw for reliable damage into Incineroar. Our Caldon's immune. They do Heat Crash next, because now Choice Band is knocked off. They're not locked into Dragon Claw like they were last time. I, wisely, clicked Flash Cannon instead of Body Press like I should have this time. But it's okay, because the stamina boost means that a second Heat Crash wouldn't kill, and I would kill back with Body Press if they decide to stay in and Heat Crash. So I knew it was unlikely for them to stay in and Heat Crash again, so I was pretty sure that Flash Cannon would work this time, but unfortunately I get fully paralyzed. Oh well, the T-Wave is definitely putting in the work. And now they, again, we saw Screamtail in. You know what that means? I'm going to bring in Incineroar. They double to Ninetales to get up the drought. That's fine. Incineroar. I get, do I get some leftovers at the end of this turn? Hell yeah, baby. That's super important. Get that shit. And I'm making it very difficult for them to cleanly position Gouging Fire in the sun. Because, again, I got the Intimidate on Ninetales. If they baton pass it, Gouging Fire is going to be in the sun, but it's going to be at -1, and it's going to be a Proto Speed instead of Proto Attack. And Incineroar in general is just great against Ninetales. Ninetales can't really do much, so I'm just going to elect to knock off, because, again, it's up to you to navigate. It's up to the opponent to navigate out of a poor spot. You're in a good spot, stay in it. Just knock off. You don't need to overthink it. Of course, the best Pokemon to take a knockoff on their team is the Screamtail, so it comes back in. And we're going to do a little cheeky thing here. Cheeky. I wish, and then I reveal the Flare Blitz on turn 33. So, there it goes. By clicking knockoff on those 3 turns in a row back there, not only was that the optimal play at that time, but it also might have conditioned Zach into thinking that I didn't have Flare Blitz, and that knockoff was my most damaging move into Screamtail. So by revealing Flare Blitz for the first time here, Zach clicked Wish, maybe thinking that he was safe to take another knock. But Flare Blitz in the Sun is way stronger than an unboosted knockoff, so I actually get a clean kill on the Screamtail here, which is fantastic for me. And Leftovers heals a little bit of that off too. Gouging Fire is going to come in, but don't forget that Wish is still up. So, yeah, and again, it is after I take a kill that Gouging Fire often gets the best positioning possible, where I cannot get an Intimidate on it. It's in the Sun. It has Photosynthesis attack. It's dangerous. It's scary. Yeah. What was I gonna do here? Yeah, I was ready to let go of Archaludon here because it's at 28%. Gouging Fire in the Sun, massive threat. I could have actually left Incineroar in here and just try to get rid of Gouging Fire with knockoff because the Wish is up, and if I kill Gouging Fire now, then the Wish does nothing. But if I leave it alive this turn, then the Wish is going to bring it back up to like 65 or whatever, right? However, do I even live? From 78, because remember, 78%, you might think, like, come on, dog, of course you live. But all of those, Incineroar has not taken a Sun boosted, like, everything is actually lining up for Zach right now. I don't know if I take this. And what better way than to find out, right? Adamant, Choice Band, Photosynthesis attack, in the Sun, Heat Crash, no Intimidate. Yeah, I die. Incineroar just dies to Heat Crash, dude. Holy shit. Yeah, 78.3 to 92. 78.3 to 92.3. So Incineroar was toast. And I don't want to lose Incineroar just yet. You've been a great pal against Ninetales and the Venusaur. I want Incineroar alive. So it is not an option for me to stay in here. It's got to be goodbye to Archaludon. I loved you, buddy. Oh, wait a second. Just kidding. Ooh. Okay, so I'm gonna do, as you see, I do get a little cheeky switch in back into Incineroar because I do predict that fire move here. And we know that wait a second. Wait a second. The calc here had choice band, but I knocked it off. Oh, I would have lived. I would have lived. Did I make that mistake in the battle too? But like, is it really a mistake? Because I do still want enough health to switch into Ninetales. Nah. I think Yeah, no. I think this was still the right play. Oh, also, he clicked Outrage. Do I even take more from Outrage? I don't know. Oh, yeah, I would have died to Outrage. Woo! Okay, never mind. Right play. Correct play. I'm the greatest. Okay. So, Archaludon switches in on Outrage and I live because I'm fairy. Awesome. Some of you may not know this, but the first turn of Outrage, if you click it into a fairy type, it doesn't lock you in for the next turns. So because they're not choice banded, they can switch up moves now, so they don't have to Outrage again. And I do predict the fire move here, so I cheekily switch Incineroar back in. I can take a fire move at -1. Like I'll take, you see, I think I'll take like 40. Yeah, 33. Not bad, right? But now the Sun is gone. I could have faked out here to like run the Sun out one more turn, but you're seeing losing the Photosynthesis attack boost here at a crucial time when Outrage might have gotten the job done. I have an Intimidate down. Now I'm in a much better position against this Gouging Fire because this Sun is down and Intimidate's down. Do I fake out here? Oh yeah, greedy. I guess a little more chip, a little more leftovers. And now I'm going to go back into Archaludon if they try and heat crash me. Yep, that's fine. I actually get another extra round of helmet chip on the Gouging Fire because the Sun is down, Intimidate is down. Heat Crash doesn't even kill Archaludon at 28%, it only does 20. Wonderful. This was an awesome just trying to outmaneuver that Gouging Fire. I took no pointless chip, no parting shot on turn 36, just hard switch into Archaludon because I want to keep Incineroar at least like above half in order to switch into Ninetales effectively. And if you go down, buddy, Archaludon, you did great. You didn't even, none of your attacks did great. None of your attacks did great damage, but that's okay. The rocks have been putting in massive work. The helmet, beautiful. Archaludon, Bob the Builder, you will be remembered. Okay. And now I could have gone back into Incineroar to get another round of Intimidate, but at 33%, pretty sure I just kill with Kilowattrel Air Slash. I do want to make sure though, because we are a detail-oriented channel. We're going to show you the calc. Air Slash is not a guaranteed kill. Maybe I should have gone Incineroar, huh? Whatever. Details. Detail-oriented channel. That's what we are. Yeah, I'm just going to come in Air Slash. And I might kill, though. And I might flinch. And Kilowattrel, I mean, it's not too useful aside. So I just go for it. But it does miss as they bring Ninetales in, which, honestly, it's not a big deal. But you know the drill. When a Ninetales is in against my Kilowattrel, we U-turn into Incineroar for the second or third time this game. I haven't been keeping track. We get that Intimidate down, but Pass, nice try, pal. Ha! Gouging Fire, nice try, right? I could have faked out here, but I didn't. Honestly, not sure why I didn't. You could say that the fake out on Gouging Fire, I've done it twice already. Maybe it was getting obvious. Maybe I was afraid of switching to Ninetales on the fake out, and then they could encore my fake out, which would put me in a kind of a rough spot. That's fair. Like, that's definitely sort of true. But fake out here, I think, would have killed Gouging Fire at 8%, and those might have been a cleaner play, but it's okay. Either way, Demon down. Demon down. Gouging Fire is gone. We only let it take one kill, which is incredible. This thing had the firepower to like one shot or two shot my entire team under Sun. And anything that didn't die in one hit, it was slower. So this thing could have taken a kill every single turn it came in if I didn't position good enough. So the fact that it only took one kill just is so good. So good. Oh, awesome. So, Venusaur comes in now, and it can Earth Power me. It can definitely do that. A smarter play. No, well, I don't know. Some of you might think that Flare Blitz is the best play in this position because Venusaur growth is super threatening in the sun, and I really don't want to let that happen. So, an Incineroar is already at 36%. It's almost dead. The best play is to deny any opportunity for Venusaur to set up and just stay in Flare Blitz here, right? However, we already saw Venusaur is carrying Leech Seed for some reason. And if it has Leech Seed, well, it's very unlikely that it also has room for growth because they definitely want Giga Drain to hit my water types. They definitely want Earth Power to hit Archaludon and Jirachi. And then they definitely want Sludge Bomb to hit Kilowattrel. So it's very unlikely that they dropped any of those three coverage moves. And if they already have Leech Seed, well, it just makes it very unlikely that this has any threat of using growth here. So if I'm not afraid of growth, then Flare Blitzing here is actually not likely to get me very much value. And it's much more likely that they're just going to Earth Power to kill Incineroar instead. So instead of letting Incineroar go, I'm going to switch into Kilowattrel here on the Earth Power that I'm predicting. And we see it come out, which is pretty good. It's pretty damn good. That kind of reverse engineering what kind of set they might have from the information that you've already seen and then making plays based off of that. It's really important in draft. You are not going to have access to all the information, and it's also very unlikely that your opponents are running standard sets. So you can't it's dangerous to make assumptions, but you can make educated guesses, and those are really important. So Kilowattrel is in, which is fantastic. And again, if the Venusaur was a modest life orb, like powerful pedal to the metal kind of set. Oh, did you get that? Pedal to the metal. PETAL. It's a Venusaur. Bars. But because this is not an offensive Venusaur set, the Sludge Bomb doesn't kill Kilowattrel, and I get an Air Slash off. And because I survived this turn, the sun goes down, and now Kilowattrel outspeeds Venusaur. So now if he stays in, Air Slash can kill. This is the second time this battle now that the sun is just running out at the worst opportunity, or not opportunity, at the worst time for Zach. Because if it was just one more turn of sun, Venusaur could threaten a kill on Kilowattrel. But because sun ran out just now, Kilowattrel's in an excellent position, and because Venusaur was in a stronger set. This is the drawback of running boots on Ninetales. Sure, I didn't have the opportunity to get Stealth Rock chipped throughout the game. I think Ninetales would be dead by now if it was Heat Rock. But without Heat Rock, you only have 5 turns of stun instead of 8. And this makes a huge difference when your team is reliant on weather. It's running out at just the most inopportune times, as you're seeing. So there is a drawback to running boots. But it makes sense that you would run boots instead of Heat Rock, because this is a weather war, and it's very unlikely that you're going to get 8 turns of uninterrupted sun anyway. That's the same reason I'm running Rindoberry on my Politoed instead of Damprock. I'm also not expecting to get 8 uninterrupted turns of rain. So I'm not saying that Zach made the worst choice here by going boots. In fact, I think it's the optimal choice. But that optimal choice still comes with a drawback, which is the sun running out at the worst time. So rather than letting Venu go, Zach will bring Ninetales in to take the Air Slash. It's a weak ass Kilowattrel, ain't gonna do much, not even a 2 KO. I'm gonna U-turn here again to bring in Incineroar. Not much else Incineroar does at this stage in the game. I mean, the game's almost over. Pokemon are almost dead. But Zach reveals Healing Wish, and this is his like last ditch late game effort to bring Rhyperior back from the brink of death, and maybe it can do something, right? Because he couldn't do this before, because Rhyperior would have been dead to Stealth Rocks. This entire game, Rhyperior could have been sacked at any time for better positioning, but he kept it alive in order to Healing Wish it later on. And so it's back. However, the drawback of Healing Wish also obviously means that I've won the Weather War. Ninetales is dead. Politoed, even if you're at 23% health, 1% health is infinite more value than 0. And Politoed's alive, which means I'm going to win the Weather War. That's all I need. So, but this is just a last-ditch effort. I mean, I just have way too many resources to be losing at this stage. So, because, again, we saw from the damage calc from Air Slash that it's very unlikely Rhyperior has any speed investment, I feel much safer in just staying in and clicking Parting Shot right now, like this. I'm going to go back into Kilowattrel because, again, Kilowattrel, it was always there for cannon fodder for Rhyperior. I thought your job was over, but actually we need you. Come back. So I, again, managed to switch in Kilowattrel on the predicted ground move. And there goes your Healing Wish, pal. Endeavor. I had it all along. So it's going to bring you back. It's going to bring Rhyperior right back to where it started, pretty much. All the hard work of Healing Wish just goes down the drain as Kilowattrel just gets ice punched. Good job, Big Bird. I always remembered you on Sesame Street, and you did a fantastic job. You stayed alive way longer than you had any right to. Well done, Big Bird. Well done. Now, it's time to cash in. The Weather War has won. Politoed is gonna obviously outspeed Rhyperior, and it's gonna kill with Weather Ball at this health, so we're just gonna let it happen. And Venusaur, only Pokemon left. Jirachi is gonna win at this point. There's no need for me to risk any sort of Earth Power crit or whatever. I'm just gonna stay in, let it go. It seals Giga Drain, Black Sludge, but that doesn't matter. Jirachi's faster, I drop a Psychic, and that's the game. So, Incineroar actually stayed alive all the way to the end. He just put Zach through the blender so hard that I barely even had the opportunity to interrupt his son. Like, Politoed switched in to reset drought like once. To be fair, I took a lot more damage on Polytoad a lot sooner than I thought I would, but that was all for the sake of getting Rhyperior into the position that it did too. So let's do a little post-game reflection before I let you go. Yes, I got very lucky with air slash flinches that led me to unexpectedly have Kilowattrel to mess around with when it should have gone down and died to put Rhyperior at 1 HP. However, I will also say that Jirachi and Quaquaval barely had to do anything. They were resting in the wings and ready to jump into action. You know, my power meteor beam was still intact. So I will say I got lucky, and I don't want to act like I was going to win either way, but I did not need that luck to like barely scrape by. Because I had gotten Chip on Lantern so early and I had the planned sacrifice Kilowattrel to keep Rhyperior low, Zach would not have had many tools left for my Incineroar anyway, unless he used Ninetales' healing wish to bring Rhyperior back early in the game. And if that happens, chances are that I can set my Quaquaval up in the rain and Swords Dance to sweep the team. So, without a doubt, the MVP was Incineroar. Switching into Ninetales and Screamtail, sending that Intimidate through Baton Pass to Gouging Fire, and playing a huge role in limiting Gouging Fire to just one kill. This is a Pokemon, again, that could have easily claimed my entire team. No joke. The key factor was removing Lantern early so that Incineroar was the slow pivot facing down their fast pivot, Ninetales, and to a lesser extent Screamtail. And that just consistently kept me in a good position. You saw how many times I U-turned with Kilowattrel on Ninetales into Incineroar, then get the Intimidate onto Gouging Fire, and I was just able to keep pushing from there because I was in a good position. Anyway, I'm just going to repeat myself and ramble if I allow myself to keep going. So, to those of you who are still here, thank you so much for watching or listening to the whole video. I think I can get y'all another upload sometime this month, I hope. I think the semis of this PDBL Season 3 was okay, but not that interesting. So I think what I'll do is just cover the finals. Maybe I'll cover the semis too, maybe not. But after that, who knows? I will try joining a draft league on Smogon. I think the competition will be a little more fierce there, and hopefully I can get some matches interesting enough to make a video about. But I warned you, uploads are going to be inconsistent. After this month and this finals of the PDBL, I don't know when the next time is when I can upload a video, but I ain't ever gonna upload a video that you wouldn't learn much from. Even though these are incredibly long, I'd still want it to be worth your time. How long? Okay, that's pretty long. We're not gonna, you know. All right, that's all from me. Thank you all for listening. Hope you all learned something, and I will see you all next time.